change the world through your eyes. Normal always changes, I swear. What you cook looks aesthetically pleasing, but no seasoning. Maybe it's the time to let loose what you're having. Not everything is as it seems, but no, it's always happening. Drugs in my cabinet, the plug walked past me in the club, but he tapped me trying to make some kids rich.
Yo, let's try this one more time. My computer crashed out, which is weird as hell. But let's try this one more time.
I change the world through your eyes. Normal always changes, I swear. What you cook looks aesthetically pleasing, but no seasoning. Maybe it's the time to let loose what you're having. Not everything is as it seems, but no, it's always happening. Drugs in my cabinet, the plug walked past me in the club, but he tapped me trying to make some kids rich. No more chasing ill shit, bro, I'm too ill for this. Paying these bills with bills, changing my feel for bliss. I got brothers that's been killed, it made my mind shift. I don't utter a sound, I let you judge what you want. I know I've been on the ground, coulda got hit with a round of round news, splitting my image and brows. Am I limited? Limitless death holding me down, and my pigment is the loudest. Wait, I'm smoking loud, let me finish it. I'm one of one in the crowd, I can't act like I don't know as of now what my mission is. I told a story once or twice about where I wanna live. Stuck in the future, that's why our flight's delayed. Hoping to give back, no kickback, and death from what I pay. They say we ain't a man.
Disgusted with myself. I never should have dumbed it down. 1,000 pounds was the goal, now it's more. Money all around in the walls and the floors. I see demons all around in the men and the whores. Dirty like the niggas out in front of the stores. Your girl's always begging like a bitch at the gas station. Heard you want beef, I said bet like the black station. Reason with the devil while I burn down the plantation. Black magic incantations and quartz crystals. Better learn to discern, or they might get you. A Fed case and some fake friends is a big issue. No biggie, no puffy, more money, no problem, I solved them, it's so funny. Cold world, stop crying, get a coat. Damn, I should have saved more when I was flying through the dope. It's 2020 hindsight. I had a vision in the dark like a nightlight. I sold heroin and coke and hurt God, yeah, I cried in my palms. It turned into psalms. You can't tell I'm stressed, I look calm. They say still waters run deep. I hope I don't drown in these streets. Welcome to Disagreeable. This is Disagreeable. I am disagreeable. We are disagreeable. Shout out to Shaka here early. I'm not planning on being here a long time, but I wanted to speak on this, so I'm just going to get into it. I was deaf scrolling on social media. For some reason, it didn't. I won't say it overwhelmed me with this type of material, but it showed me at least one or two clips of black people, so-called black people. Just from a clip on the internet, I can't tell if you're a tether. I can't tell if you're a FBA. I can just tell that you are not the devil. You've been affected by the devil, right? So, how do I say this? How do I want to approach this? How do I want to approach this? It's clips of people disciplining their children, or they will call it disciplining. I will call it beating and traumatizing your children. And what is the syndrome called when you've been Stockholm syndrome? You feel me? In the comments, a lot of Stockholm syndrome. And if somebody wants to hit the link, it's it's in the description. Let me type this right here. If anybody wants to refute me or give me another way to look at this, because I see there's zero value in beating your children. You feel me? And that's the one thing that the Tether, the FBA, and the devil have in common. You go after the weakest person you can go after, which is a child. If I can't slap the shit out of a woman and it be okay, because a woman is grown, she has her full faculties, and she can cause way more destruction than a little ass child. But it's not seen as okay for when a woman gets out of line for me to slap blood in her mouth, right? But if your child gets out of line, you can beat them online, record it, and then once you post it, you're gonna have a bunch of dumb, ignorant niggas. And then why I can speak for both sides is because I'm American and Jamaican. So I know the Black American and the Jamaican are violent towards their children, and they think that is going to stop their children from they try to pretend it's like to stop them from going into criminality later in life or some shit, which it doesn't. It doesn't do shit. All it does is make them fearful and walk on eggshells in the household. All it does is suppress their confidence. You feel me? If it doesn't totally extinguish it. All it does is give them mental issues. And I'm looking at the comments of some big nigga who says, "Oh, this father disciplines his children in the barbershop because they stole," or something and shit like that. So he's lifting up these kids, beating the shit out of them with belts and shit, lifting them off the ground with one arm, beating the shit out of them. And I'm looking at the comments, and I rarely leave comments. So I just had to leave a comment. I'm like, yo, this shit don't work. Black people are pathetic. Black people are pathetic. You feel me? Losers. Losers. You're such a loser in the real world that the only person you could take some shit out on is a little child in your house. You feel me? And you're such a weak-minded fool that's the only way that you can assert some type of dominance in your own household. You have to beat your children. And that's why you are exactly like the devil. That's why I don't subscribe to any of this FBA, Tether, all this bullshit. I don't subscribe to it because you're all fucking weak idiots, losers. You feel me? You're exactly like the devil that you talk about. Because the devil, if you don't know who I'm talking about the white boy, only goes after weak targets. Weak targets. You feel me? And that's what the blacks, the Tethers and the FBAs, that's what you do. Your children are weak targets. That's why you go after them. I remember, I don't know how old I was, but I remember the last time that my mom tried to hit me, right? I don't know what it was for. It's probably for something stupid because she's fucking stupid, an emotional, dumb woman. And I remember she tried to hit me with this belt that was like, and here's how the FBA and the Tether are exactly like the devil. People talk about their fond memories of, oh, my grandmother would tell me to go get a switch. So go pick out something yourself. Think about the psychological trauma nonsense that you're doing. You're such a lazy loser, black. You're such a lazy loser, black motherfucker, that you're gonna make the child go retrieve a weapon so you could beat them with this weapon that they had to go pick and retrieve. And then you make them do some psychological torture shit, like if they don't bring you a long enough for one or a thick enough one or one that you find good enough to put corporal punishment on your own child, your blood, you're gonna go make them get another one, or you're gonna go get one that's over the top and shit. But let me get back to what I was saying. I remember the last time my mom tried to hit me, right? And she took this belt. I don't know, it was for something, it had to be for something retarded. Because I wasn't a bad kid. I wasn't a bad kid. You feel me? So it had to be for something retarded. And I remember she hit me with this belt, like boom, boom, boom. It hit me a couple times. I'm just looking at her. And you realize it's mind control, it's psychological mind control. Because I don't know what it was, but you realize that shit never hurt a long time before that. You were just getting an emotional reaction and a fear MK Ultra ass reaction, trauma mind control shit, and that's why you would probably cry or give some type of reaction to it. I don't know what it was about that day, but she was hitting me with a belt, and I was just standing there. Nigga, I'm 6'4". I've been a big nigga for a long time. And I remember just looking at her while she's hitting me with this belt and it's doing nothing. I'm just looking at her like, you're fucking pathetic, dog. I didn't say it out my mouth, but I'm looking at her like, you're fucking stupid. Pathetic. You feel me? Desperate. Loser. You feel me? And then I remember she looked at me with like some type of, like something came over her where she realized the real world, the nature that we're in, that it doesn't matter if I'm your son. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you raised a bear or a lion since it was a cub. Once that cub is a grown-ass bear or a grown-ass lion, if I wanted to, I could have thrown your dumb ass out the window. You feel me? And some people who are mind-controlled blacks, stupid blacks, tethers, and FBAs, you're going to think like, oh, how could you even think something like that? I'm just speaking of reality, you idiots. That's what really could have happened. If you just get tired of that shit, black people are banking on the mind control they have over their children so they can keep abusing them physically and verbally. You feel me? Physically and verbally. They're banking on that mind control. Just like the devil. That's why I say FBAs and tethers have something in common with the devil. Because they were mad slaves on the plantation, right? They could have taken over any time. Just like let's take it out of the race dynamic and let's take it just to the masses, like the common man, the peasant versus the so-called elite class. There's enough for us to go to the White House and drag the niggas out by their ankles and skin them if we wanted to, but we're not going to do that because we are under trauma mind control. And that's the same thing that you dumb blacks do in your house to your children. And a couple individuals beating their children doesn't really bother me that much. It was really the comments, and the people were just like, "Yep, that's a good father. That's what you need. That's gonna keep him out of the nigga." Did all these beatings stop the crack era? Did all these beatings stop the crack era or something like that? Did all these beatings stop drill music? And the successful black people who you will point to, they came from good neighborhoods where they weren't getting beat and shit. I'm not saying that there's not any crossover. I'm just saying that shit is ineffective, loser shit. And there's a reason why, as black people, be it FBA or tether or whatever you want to call it, why we are behind. Because when you walk into the world as an adult, especially as a man, you need a certain level of confidence in you. You feel me? And not anger confidence. You need a light within yourself. And beating your children extinguishes and diminishes their inner light. And the thing is, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I feel like the black parent, be them FBA or tether, are jealous of the innocence and the true light emanating from their children because their light has been extinguished through the verbal and the physical abuse. Do you do you see? Hold on, let me get these comments. Let me hold my thought before I forget. Okay, I was going to talk about the black woman specifically. All right, Chaka says, "Yep, the old switch days. Remember, you thought you was slick by picking out the skinny switch. You feel me? Here's the thing. My my grandmother was never like my grandmother never hit me. Maybe one time she kind of halfway, kind of maybe, but she never hit me and she never cursed at me. My mother, on the other hand, that's a different story. Shaka says, "You're still a child." Expound upon that. Expound upon that. But as you can see today, you know, I'm speaking about black women specifically. Specifically, because if you look at these panels when the black women are speaking to the black men on these meaningless loser panels in these black spaces, talking about relationships or whatever goofy shit they're talking about, do you see the vulgarity and the aggression that comes from the black woman? That's the only way she knows how to deal with things. She's such a fucking loser. And she's trying to make those grown men on the panel. Put it this way. I've always said this to people and they think I'm joking or it's just to be funny. It's not to be funny. This is a fact. If women, specifically black women, were bigger than us and stronger than us, they would be beating the shit out of us every day. Every day. We'd be in some horrible chattel slavery if a bitch was strong enough to do anything to us. You feel me? Chaka says, many black people walk out the house at an adult age, but in their mind, they're still a child. That's facts. That's facts. You know, and I know it's not a popular thing to be honest or vulnerable on these platforms. You're supposed to be the coolest nigga in the world or whatever. But I definitely feel like I've been stunted. I've been stunted. You feel me? With the level of intelligence I have and the trajectory that I was on from middle school, already being accepted into Clark Atlanta University and shit like that, touring Duke University, Howard University, University of Central Florida, and a couple ones I can't remember right now. When I was in sixth grade, I definitely feel like I was stunted because I've accomplished things which don't mean shit to me. I've gotten money. I've lived at the highest level in the highest economic bracket in one of the most expensive cities in the country and the world. You feel me? But that means nothing to me. My trajectory by now, I'm supposed to be on some Nobel Prize shit. You feel me? I'm supposed to be inventing and curing things. You feel me? Thinking of new concepts, bringing new legislation to the table. That's where I'm supposed to be. You feel me? But and I only say this to be honest with people because I'm not embarrassed of anything. A lot of black youth are stunted, and like Shaka said, you're still a child when you go out of your house because you're still trying to deal. And let's put it this way: let's expand it beyond. Let's expand it beyond just the race dynamic. Let's take it back to the macro dynamic of the whole nation. This trauma-based mind control keeps you in a childlike state. That's why you do stupid shit. All you do is get just enough money to live. You feel me? Just enough money to live. You're most likely have some alcohol issues or some shit like that because you're trying to cope through getting through the day. You watch basketball or football or some sports because you're a fucking child in the mind. You feel me? You still want to engage and live vicariously through these younger people doing shit that doesn't matter in the least bit. You feel me? You're on your social media, you're scrolling, you're doing the same thing as a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old, laughing, looking at fucking bullshit. You feel me? And it's because you've been stunted by society on a macro scale. And the FBA or the Tether has been stunted the most because they were stunted within their house through the nonstop. Now I'm getting back to the point when I was talking about how the black woman is just like, or the modern black woman, I will say, or the hood black woman, because that's what's crazy to me. It has such two different dynamics. You feel me? But all that cursing and yelling and tough bitch shit doesn't mean nothing to me. And how do I say this without sounding like horrible? You have to let your mother know, any woman you're dealing with. I'm talking about black women specifically. You have to let them know all that loud shit, that cursing shit don't mean nothing. And you need to say it calmly to them. Like, yeah, you know it's only my innate love and respect for you that's stopping me from walking over there and slapping blood out of your mouth, right? You know that's right. You know black women really think they have control over some shit. They really think that they really have to do what the slave master did to their children. You have to beat mind controlled into them because a 12-year-old, 11-year-old black boy can beat the shit out of most women. Beat the shit out of most women. That's just a reality. So, and I know no one's gonna hit the link because you're probably thinking, "Oh, my mama hit me, and it's because she loved me and all this shit." No, your mama hit you because she was a dumb bitch. Your mother hit you because she was a dumb bitch. Your mother cursed at you and minimized your confidence and diminished and distinguished your light because she's a fucking idiot, a loser. You feel me? And does that mean you don't love her or whatever? I don't care. You feel me? I'm not gonna say like I don't really give a fuck. But I'm not going to live because I don't have children right now. And people go, "Oh, you'll understand when you have children." Nigga, you think I didn't see other people grow up and I didn't see the dynamics they had with their parents in other households from other races and nationalities and shit like that? I knew at a young age that shit was stupid. You feel me? But as a black child, you're stuck in the plantation. Yeah. I know motherfuckers are gonna like that. The Tether household and the black household, the FBA household, is a plantation. It's a plantation. You feel me? And even if you have your mother and your father there, it's still a plantation because your father is a emasculated fucking weirdo following a bitch. He's scared to fucking confront your mother. You feel me? Oh, we got Sterling in the studio, and it's good. I want to ask him what he thinks about this subject. And Sterling, before I let you up, just let you know this. I don't plan on being here all night. We're staying on subject. If you have something to say about this, we're staying on this. So I'm going to ask you, and I think you can hear me now. Before you come up, I want to ask you this. What is your opinion on parents hitting their children, speaking harshly to their children, and what result do you think that gets? Welcoming Sterling to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
I agree with pretty much a lot of what you said. Like it, I feel like, and part of me thinks that it's not really a racial thing. I feel like maybe it's a generational thing, and like these boomers will say, just like what you said, they're like, well, my parents beat me and I turned out all right. Well, did you? Did you really? Are you the poster child for mental health, mom? Like they just don't see it. And what it does is, like you said, 100% just strips you of your confidence. And the people who do it, like and it is abuse. Anytime, it is violence for sure. But it's acceptable for some reason to some people. And I feel like anytime you choose violence, it's because you've already lost with your words, with your reason, with your logic. And what could be more important, like, to instill in your child than reason and logic and patience and kindness? And you know what I mean? Like, anyway, I hope that answered your question.
And here's the thing. I'm not saying that people in other cultural households didn't get beat. It's just not glorified. Asian parents are beating the shit out of their kids. It's just kept in the house and it's not glorified. Your mother's not getting on the phone and calling her friend and being like, "Oh, I had to beat the shit out of blah blah blah. They did this and that." After that, this is what happens in the black home. I'm letting, hey, guess what, black people? I'm letting white people know what you do in your house. Shut the fuck up. You feel me? This is what happens in the black home. Your mom beats your ass, and then she goes on a worldwide global tour telling people about what you did loud enough so you can hear it. You feel me? And adding extra on it and saying how she had to do this and that to you. Oh, he did this, and then I had to do. The black household is all about humiliation and mind control and trauma and abuse that you have to take in, and you're supposed to believe like they're doing this because they love you, because I had to. And I'm not saying like white people don't beat their kids. I know they do, but it's not glorified. And the white kids I know who really did get their ass beat, they have a lower results than the ones that didn't get their ass beat. And the only difference is they might come from some type of inherited wealth. So you don't see how bad it affected them because you're looking at the money, you're looking at the lifestyle. But when you really know people, because I know, well, most people don't really accept it, that this country is heavily segregated and we don't really see into each other's houses. And because I was raised up in the rural parts of Georgia and I was raised up in the city of Miami, which is a melting pot international, I saw the inside of a lot of people's homes. So a lot of shit that people think about other people's cultures and shit, I got to see firsthand that it's not like that. You get what I'm saying? But give me one second. Let me get this comment from Shaka, and I'm gonna let you respond. Shaka says many black people walk. All right, we already got that. He says sometimes a smack is in order. I was raised by my pops, though. Okay, and I'm not gonna negate your experience, but I would either like you to expound on that in a real way in the comments, or I would like you to hit the link and come up here and tell me what you did where you needed to be smacked and how that put you back on trajectory to have a better life. How he put you in order, how you were so fucked up that you were gonna go to prison or some shit if he didn't have to smack you like you were a fucking dog. You feel me? But go ahead,
Yeah.
Sarah.
Yeah, I'm interested in hearing about that too, and just generally, kind of like what you're saying, I would be interested to know, yeah, like what situations warrant, a pop, quote unquote, as you call it. You know, what exactly does a kid have to do to get popped, and you be justified as the parent or caregiver or whatever. I'd be curious to know. I'd be curious to know because, like I said,
I'm not saying losing your temper or all that shit is like, oh, so you have to be perfect. Like things can happen, but the fact that you do those things repeatedly and you stand on it like it needed to be done, and you like that's what's really causes the damage mentally and generationally.
agreed. And they would say like some goofy shit like, "Oh, this hurts me more than it hurts you." You know what I mean? Like
That's that
bullshit.
mind control. That's the MK mind
Bullshit.
control in the house. The same
Yeah,
thing that the government's doing to everybody, people internalize in their house. And because so-called black people have been through, even if you didn't really go through it, you've been programmed that you went through this slavery experience or whatever. So you are just doing that shit in your house. It's the same thing. It's just a micro. It's a micro scale of the macro of the whole nation. Except it's more extreme. It's more extreme in the black household because just like they say, like they call the hood the project. The hood's called the project for a reason. It's a project. It's a science project. It's a mental mind control project. You feel me?
yeah. And it's like, what if those same parents, later in life they develop dementia, Alzheimer's or whatever, and they can't feed themselves, or they're dropping Cheerios all over the table and the floor at dinner time. Can you yank them up and tell them to go grab a switch? Can you? I mean, like you would never get away with elder abuse like that. Someone in the very similar mind state of a small child that can't reason or communicate like an adult. So would you be justified in smacking them around? Would that teach them a lesson?
That,
Of
that's
course
a
not.
that's a great example. I don't know if you were here early enough to hear me give my other example when I was saying like you go after the most vulnerable person you can go after with the most vitriol that you can because you were powerless and you're a loser in your real life. And I said, is it okay for you to hit a woman? Because a woman can defend herself more than a tiny child and she can cause way more destruction. But it's not okay for me to slap a woman in her mouth no matter what the fuck she's doing, right?
That's right. And I think though. Oh, here we go. How we doing?
New, welcome to the show.
What's up, New?
New works nights, so he might be
Yeah,
on.
I'm at work, so I don't know if you can hear me or not.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
I can only say that for a hot second. It's kind of hard for me to expand in the chat. What I was saying was, um, some kids can get smacked. It just depends on, the when and the how, right? How hard. And then you assess it from there. You know what I'm saying? If they're not learning off the smack, you can't just keep smacking them. But I think good discipline is in order. You know what I'm saying? Like my pops raised me. I used to get beat, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like whip and shit, with the switch, extension cords, all that type of shit. But he never punched me though, you know? So I think there is a fine line between discipline and abuse. Sometimes putting a kid in a corner, man, just don't cut it.
Well, put it this way: this is even when you train a dog, you don't train a dog by striking it. The dog is trained by your tone of voice and how you carry yourself. So, no, and take yourself out of this. I don't want to speak against your pops, but any man, if you can't just get a, I've talked sternly to women and had them grown women and had them break down in front of me just by speaking sternly to them.
Yeah, yeah.
Just by projecting my voice on their ass, letting them know like it's not. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm saying that that's the power of the voice. So as a grown man, if you can't use your voice to control your own child, you got fucking problems. You're a weak motherfucker to me.
You're right. I think parenting though is part of growing up too. You gotta learn too. So some people just they get emotional right quick. Smack this motherfucker. If you haul off and hit a motherfucker, like if you hit a man, it's the same shit. It's just one's a kid.
It's not the same shit because you are careful with who you talk, how you speak in public, and who you put your hands on in public because they're not your kids who you got under mind control, who are helpless and who don't want to hit you back. Because in
Some are, some
reality,
not.
in reality, a 12-year-old, 13-year-old boy can beat the shit out of any woman who's hitting him with a belt.
No, I get what you're saying. But I'm just saying, I'm just saying that some people, react different. You know what I'm saying? So, there
Different
are
doesn't
people.
different doesn't mean that it's right. I'm looking at right and
I'm
wrong
not
right
saying
here,
it's right.
and I'm open to hearing somebody else's opinion who tells me like, nah, I was a crazy ass kid. I needed to be hit, and it made me better. I've yet to hear that.
Oh, I did. I was a liar and a thief when I was a kid. My dad whipped the shit out of me, and I learned. You know what I'm saying? By that to not do that.
Where
And
were you learning to be a liar and a thief from?
when I was growing up, when I was in LA,
Who was the example that was teaching you to be a lot to move like that?
hanging around my cousins and shit.
What you say?
So just hanging around my cousins and everything.
So your cut.
I was I,
So
I was just like that.
no, you just said two different. So you all right. See, this is your difficult subjects. You feel me? I like to get to these difficult subjects. You say you were a liar and a thief. Okay, so you remember lying and stealing shit. And not just telling lies. Well, who gives a fuck if you lied unless it was something malicious that's going to destroy something? But let's say you were stealing. So you remember what you stole. You just stole because you were like out and you felt compelled in your own mind. Hey, I'm just entitled to steal shit. Or were you influenced by somebody?
I was entitled. And get up in the ceiling right quick. No, I was what? Finite drill. You looked up there already? Oh, you found it? Oh, hey, let me go. Let me go. Disagree.
It's all good. You're at work. This is
All right.
serious. I can't
Yeah.
press you. I can't press you how I want to press you at work, man.
Right.
You gotta keep the lights on, literally. You feel me?
Right. Yeah, I appreciate it though. We'll talk.
All right, I appreciate you coming up to
All right.
explain that.
Yeah, no worries.
All right. Well, I would like to get more into what he was saying because I don't feel any child is just bad. Some are more hyperactive, some are more prone to just be exploring and doing things. And here's the thing. The children who, especially if you're around people who are like family who are like hitting their kids or whatever, the kid who you think is good, he might just be slightly more observant and intelligent like I was. I wasn't necessarily good. I just realized not doing certain things would make my life easier. I realized at a very young age. And then and then here's something else you realize living in the. I'll speak for myself, but I saw this go across many households. Sometimes you'll figure out how to chill out the situation in your house and try to keep it calm so your parent is not bugging out or your parents are not bugging out. And then you'll find out one day that even though you do everything you can, they're still gonna bug out. And then you get to see what the fuck it really is. These people are fucking crazy. You know what I'm saying? So Sterling, would you like to add anything?
Oh yeah, I would say like I would ask you, um, and the guy mentioned earlier, he was like he said something about standing in the corner and just ain't enough. I would ask you like, what do you think is a good punishment? What are some good punishments, or do you not believe in punishments? Or what's the alternative? Is what I'm asking.
Well, like I said, I don't have children yet, but if I had children, their punishments would be intellectual or physical. Not me imparting physical pain on them, but physical, meaning you might not want to do this much running. You might not want to do this many push-ups. You feel me? You might not want to do the horse stance for this long. I would never go to the point of like the Asian families and make you kneel on rice because that's torture. There's a difference between exertion and torture. So that's where I would put it. Or I'd make you read this book, give me this report, do that, and that would have to be instilled from a young age. You can't just start doing that when somebody's already old and wild and out of control because you were a neglected parent who wasn't observing and spending enough time with your children and being with them and being a part of their lives. The only way, and that's why when Shaka was up here or new, I wanted him to get further into it because I wanted to ask him like, all right, how the fuck do you become a liar and a stealer to that level where you as a grown man will say that you were an entitled liar and stealer? That means that your parents were lazy, like I'll say most black, and I can only speak for black people. Like most black parents are fucking lazy, especially of the newer generation. They want to send their kids to fucking grandma, old people who don't have the energy to be on their ass and he's running behind you or whatever. When you're younger or whatever age you are, that's not a fucking old grandparent, and you have the energy, you're supposed to be in your kid's life, integrated there. Motherfuckers are lazy, and then they get mad at the result that they get. If you're not raising your children, guess what? Their friends in the streets and the media are going to raise them. And then you want to beat that out of them? Guess what? It's too late.
And then also like I would like to hear your thoughts on like how it affects your relationship with that person, with that parent or guardian when you become adults. Because like, and what I'm getting at is like, for me, for example, it was a very difficult transition. Like a lot of people, once you get out and you're an adult, they become friends with their parents. And I found that to be very difficult, to be friends and friendly with my parents, after they had done that to me.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I feel you. Well, I already don't have the best relationship with my father, but that has there's all types of things involved in that. But with it's kind of, I guess it's not the best relationship because I can still laugh and joke with my mother and whatever. But to be real, it's because I see her like I see most people. Like, you're just pathetic. You know what I'm saying? And it's sad to say, like, I love you and all that shit. But there's things like people lie to themselves. You feel me? Oh, my parents did the best they could. No, you didn't do the best you could because I know what real effort is now. I know when I'm half-assing. You feel me? So I know you didn't do the best you could. So why am I gonna leave this bullshit in my head? Like, oh yeah, they just tried the best. For me, the best way for me to just try to, I won't say forgive, but have understanding is and it comes down to some spiritual shit. Like, we are all in hell. We're all in this illusion, this malevolent AI, this Kali Yuga, this samsara, whatever you want to call it. We're all just pathetic little things running around on this earth, just confused and scared, naked and afraid. We don't know what the fuck's going on. So that's the closest I can get to having understanding to be cool with them. But I still have this fire in me that I get tight. I get tight if like my mother tries to speak to me in a certain way or some shit like that. Like I correct that shit very quickly to the point where we can't really be cool like that. She's gonna, I don't know, the same way I speak on the show, some of the same examples I give, like I really live like that. I feel like that. The same way I don't respect a lot of women in general because I think they're psychos. There's certain things like I'm not gonna go in the woods and yell at a bear or insult a bear. You feel me? So when somebody's doing that to me as a grown ass giant man, I just think you're a psycho, and maybe I need to evolve spiritually where I can no, let me ponder this for a second. Maybe I need to evolve spiritually where I can just have a forgiveness and grace or whatever, and not look at you as a pathetic piece of shit. Because that's how it is. That's how I get around like dealing with most people. I just feel like you're just a scared, pathetic motherfucker, and we all are on a level. But the fact that you won't admit it and you'll stand on your bullshit just makes me sick. I'd rather not deal with you. You feel me? So I probably didn't answer your question. But it's a deep question.
No, I think you did. And you know, you know Jesse Lee Peterson, right?
Yep.
Well, that's one of his talking points. Have you forgiven your mother? Did you forgive your mother? You know what I mean? He's always asking people that. And part of me wonders if he isn't on to something, you know? Because like you said, like trying to get your mother to apologize or see the errors in her ways is a lost cause, you know, for me as well. You know, but maybe the bigger thing to do is just to forgive her. What do you think?
I agree with that, but I agree with that, and that's easier said than done. I totally agree with Jesse Lee Peterson, where he says, "Forgive your mother," and also you have to forgive your father too, for if your father wasn't there to do what he was supposed to do, which is protect you from your psycho mother. You feel me? And yeah, yeah, it could definitely be valuable, but and I feel like that's such a, if you can really do it, then you can do it. But I feel like a lot of people say they did it and they didn't really do it, you know? Cause and Jesse Peterson, I was really listening to him for a little bit, and I was like going with his philosophy. But then like I don't know, and this could be like some agent CIA shit to shut him down. But when all those guys came out and said he was like gay and shit, and he went and it really fucked up how I looked at him too. I was like, yo, everybody's full of shit. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't remember him getting. I can't remember the accusations, but I think it did involve that. What does he have? That community form a bond or
Yeah.
something like that. And some of those guys were they. I can't remember exactly what they said, but yeah. Anyway, I mean,
It's just
it
that I
was.
could see. Go ahead. My bad.
No, go ahead.
No, just that like when those accusations came out, I could see it, and I'm like, yo, am I being ignorant by letting that negate the message that he has or had? Does that really change the validity of what he was bringing forth? And it probably doesn't, because this is disagreeable. Nobody can really say shit about me. I let everybody into my life. I'm an open book over here. Like I know I'm not gonna tell the exact circumstances of everything, but I've had my mother come to me as a grown man and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know I stunted your growth or whatever. I've done like she's come to me and said this, and then acted later like she never said this. You know what I'm saying? This is why I don't respect. I gotta be real. Me and not respecting women in general has a lot to do with especially younger women, has a lot to do with my mother. But my grandmother, I definitely respect her, but I still saw like the irrationalism of the woman sometimes. I can't respect the irrational bullshit. You feel me? Like Like my grandfather is still alive right here. I have my old ass grandfather when I came. I haven't seen him in mad long, and I had him come up to me like, and I've never seen this guy get any emotion ever in life, besides happy and chilling. Never yelled at me, never raised his voice. When I say yelled, not for no reason. Like if we were outside working on something or doing something in the country, you're working around machinery, you're cutting wood, or you're doing whatever, he might be like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like that little hey, that stop doing that or whatever. But never yelled at me, never cursed at me, none of this shit. This guy's coming to me as an old ass man with tears in his eyes, like, yo, I should have fought harder for you. I should have got you back when your mother made you move and all this shit. And I just gotta shut these old people down and just be like, yo, what's done is done, dog. You feel me? What's done is done. What's done is done. So I feel like am I getting off point right here?
No, you're right on point. That's why I'm letting you go with it.
I don't know. I'm just like maybe I'm triggered. In fact, maybe everything derives from being triggered. Because when I saw the social media posts with these, now I only saw like one or two, but when I saw the comments of all these fucking dumbass black people in there, like, oh yeah, that's what you have to do and this and that, like, no, I'm like, yo, we're cooked. Like the whole earth is cooked. Like there's really no reason to do anything. If people really think like this, everything is fucked. You feel me? You have all this gumption to beat your children or whatever, but you don't have that gumption to fight the government. You feel me? You want to have control over your home to the point where you'll beat your fucking kids, but you won't fight the government. You'll go take a fucking COVID shot. You feel me? These people are pathetic to me, like most of the people on earth. You feel me? So that's why it's like it's I know being so-called happy and loving probably equals to like a better, more chill, peaceful life or whatever. But I'm like, am I supposed to just ignore this obvious idiocy? Am I supposed to ignore this redundant nonsense? You feel me? Because I'm not saying I'm perfect at all, but I can admit where I'm fucking up. I'm doing something half-assed. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't, and I feel like maturing and being a better person is being able to do that quicker and quicker. You're never going to be perfect, but you got to be able to quickly correct that shit faster and faster. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh damn, I did fuck up, my bad, I'm sorry. You feel me? And not just say sorry to get a response out of the person. Really internalize, yeah, I should not have done that. I should not have reacted that way. I shouldn't have done. You know what I'm saying? And get back in. And what's the right word? I can't think of the right word, but I think you know what you're saying. I think you know what I'm saying. I've said enough.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Like it has to do with being humble, and there's something arrogant, like for example, when a parent won't admit their wrongdoings, or they try to justify it, like, oh, I did the best I could, or oh, well, that's what my mama did, and I think we all need to be humble enough to consider that we fucked up, Oh, and one more thing. It's kind of like beside the point, but like I heard you talking about like spirituality and like the devil, and I would just remind anyone out there that God is the one who gave instructions on how to beat your slave with the rod. God is the one who said that unruly children should be taken out to the edge of town and beaten with stones, stoned to death, just for being unruly as a child. You know what I mean? So like I feel like it's justified to that generation who grew up in church. It's justified what they're doing because it is biblical. What do you think about that?
I definitely know what you're talking about, concepts, ideas, or whatever, like spare the rod and spoil the child and this nonsense like that. But it's just like, that's where I try to have a bit of understanding, if that's the best way to say it for people, because I said that we're just all in this mind control machine, and that's just one of the mechanisms of this mind control machine. You feel me? Is it to tell you that this is a holy book, this is the conduit through God, and this is the rules and how you can conduct yourself. But when you really break it down and examine it, It's just you doing the so-called devil's work, be it the devil incarnate, the in the man form or the spiritual form or whatever. You're just doing the mind control and being for them to make the next generations good little slaves, good little goys or whatever for the system. You feel me? Like that. How to say? Like that's why you get into the whole concept of the parents, the birth certificate, how you're just renting your children, how you were like they're actually owned by the state. But back when your kids needed to work for you on the farm, you were actually just renting them from the state. You feel me? Nowadays, I feel like that's why I give examples like how people are so fucking stupid, like COVID. You'll give your kid a shot because the TV told you to. You feel me? And you know things are bad. And I'm really hard on my friends that have kids and shit. Cause I'm like, all right, so you know a lot of this stuff that I say is true. You know how fucked up this is, but all you seem to be concerned with, and this is all of them, all you seem to be concerned with is keeping this person in the system, raising them enough so you can say, I kept you fed, and then you went and you got some job to be a cog in the machine or whatever. You feel me? I look at it, and I've said this to people, and they get mad at me. You feel me? Like all you're doing is keeping your kids nice and fat and cute for pedophiles. That's what it seems like, because you can find out that everybody is on some weird shit, and you don't even care. You just turn a blind eye to it. You feel me? So I don't really. I'm telling you, man, I really don't respect people like that in general on Earth, because it's all in your face. Everything that's really fucked up in the world is in your face, but nobody seems to be too concerned about doing anything about it. And like, if you're me, if you don't have any children or anybody who doesn't have any children, you're just running around in hell, and you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna find a little bit of contentness and fun in this bullshit until I die. I could understand that, but when you have children and you act like you care and you love them, but you don't care about the world that you're leaving to them, I feel like you're full of shit. That's why when people try to hold over the fact like, oh, you feel different when you have a family and this and that. What am I going to feel different about? Am I going to be like you? Am I going to be like you? A fucking loser? Somebody who will watch the TV and somebody and some demonic fucks will tell you to shoot poison into their body and you're just going to do it? Like, no thanks. I'd rather not be that person. If you got anything to add, you can go ahead.
Well, no, I was just thinking about what you said. So, well, I don't want to get way too. That's why I hesitated. I didn't want to get way too off topic.
No, take it where it needs to go. This is the show. This is how it goes.
All right, sure. Yeah, it's your show, and you can check me if I'm out of line. But like, what vaccines would you give your child?
0.
Oh, really? Okay. Like that's interesting to me. Like, not even measles, the MMR, like measles, mumps, and rubella or whatever it is.
I tore my Achilles and I healed it myself. I didn't go to get surgery because I distrust the system that much. You feel me? I'm for one, and I just gotta say it how it needs to be said. I don't trust being put under anesthesia around any white people. I'm being honest. I'm being honest. You feel me? So that's one thing I'm not doing. So if I don't trust you enough to do that, why would I trust you enough for my brand new perfect baby functioning just fine for it to come out the womb and then you give it a whole bunch of fucking shots? You feel me? And even people will be like, oh, every doctor isn't white or this or that. This is their system. The medical system is geared towards them. The corporate medical system is run by the dominant society. So even if you're a Chinese doctor, Vietnamese, black doctor, or whatever, you still have to operate under their standards. You feel me? That's just like somebody telling me like a police, a cop is black. You feel me? No, you're not black. You're blue. You feel me? You're blue. And I've said this in motherfuckers' faces just like that. Like, yeah. Like, I'm not giving anybody no. If it's up to me, you're not getting shit. You feel me? And that's another thing that concerns me about having children. It's not the fact that I have a child now. I feel like raising a child is very easy. It's the fact that now I have a woman who I need to negotiate with about the well-being of our children. You feel me?
Hmm. Yes, indeed. Like I've always said that, I'd rather have a kid than a baby mama. And if I could find out how to have a kid and not a baby mama, I probably would have done it by now.
And here's the thing: I agree with you, and even in things that I agree with, and I have the mindset of, I can look at the other side. That is still unnatural. You feel me? But the only way, but it's going to be unnatural regardless, because I don't think it's natural to even have two parents in the household and to be negotiating and have nobody in charge. That's what you see nowadays, and most of the time, the man just wants to keep things. The man, I feel like when the man stays around, he has more concern about the child than anybody else. That's why he'll chill and he'll bend to the will of the woman in the house, just so he can stay around in contact with his kids. And another thing too is I'm I'm like I can be hyper emotional. You feel me? So like I have friends who love their fucking kids, and a bitch is putting them through hell. He hasn't seen his kid in like 2 years. He's been trying. I've seen this shit, and this is a good guy. This is not no crazy thug. This is a square dude. He drives a bus for the city and all types of shit like that. And we even, because we're not dumb motherfuckers, we know about the law, we know about all types of things. We had got around that through, all types of like sovereignty paperwork and more shit, where he could have threw the whole case in the garbage. But he decided to stay on it just so he can get the state to enforce that he gets to see his kids somehow. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I could never go through that. I might kill a bitch. You feel me? I'm dead. Like, I'm dead ass. I could imagine somebody trying to use those, because here's the thing I know about women too, and why I've been very had some discernment and been lucky in life. Even when I was in the streets hustling and shit like that, and I was like running warehouses and grow houses and all this shit, bitches always were trying to figure out where my grow houses were. They were always trying to figure out where my shit was at. Oh well, I just talk around it. Don't worry about that. Blah, 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 blah. And they always try to like break it down and like, yo. And when shit got when we had a falling out or something, I would see them trying to like hold it over my head. You feel me? And I always ran my shit in a certain way where there wasn't a whole bunch of work around me. There's nothing. It was never around me. I always had some houses somewhere. I always had some warehouses or some shit like that. But when it got ugly, I saw when a bitch is mad at you, she's gonna try to go to send you to hell. You feel me? So I could imagine somebody taking the one thing who now I have some type of chemical, electromagnetic spiritual bond with a child or something, and now you're trying to hold this shit over me. Nah, so somebody's going to hell. Somebody's going to hell. One of us is going to hell, because I'm not going to live in hell. So yeah, that's very concerning to me.
Yeah. So like, would you rather raise a child with a baby mama, or would you rather just be on your own?
Ideally, having a woman there and having her in order would be the best. Ideally, if you had a very, very good woman who wasn't crazy, I would like her to keep the child until like until 6, maybe 5 or 6 or 7, somewhere around that age, and then I'll just take them. And you're around me primarily from that point on, because you're past the point where you need that nurturing, and you also to keep your kids as smart as you want them on breast milk as long as possible. Like, think about how crazy the world is that we're in. That a bitch is so lazy and so vain that she doesn't even want her own children sucking on her titties, because it might make her titties look like they've been sucked on or whatever, shit like that. They rather give the child some formula. That this shit's insanity. This shit's straight insanity to me. You feel me? And I just like I couldn't do it. And maybe I can find something better in another culture, but maybe I need South American culture. I don't see it. And maybe Middle Eastern. I don't know. I'm not into that shit. I think I'd rather live under the Jew than live under the Muslim. You feel me? 100%. You feel me?
Yeah, let's hear more about that. What do you mean?
I know, like I said, I've been inside people's houses and everybody's cultures, and I don't want to sound too bad, but the Muslim is a liar and disgusting to me. The Jew is outright supremacist. They might do gross stuff, but they're outright supremacist to you. And he's not going to call you brother. Therefore, I know who I'm dealing with. I've been around Muslims who act like I'm their brother. You feel me? I've had Muslim friends who, after knowing them mad long, they found out some like at some point when my father had like converted to Islam or some shit like that. You know, you're still young, so I told my friends like, yeah, my dad did blah blah blah, and I saw how they instantly treated me better, and that disgusted me. And it disgusted me. You know, so
Your Muslim friends treated you better when they found out your father became Muslim, or
yeah,
okay, okay,
this is just all mind control. People aren't moving under any type of just straight righteousness of the soul. Everything is directed and controlled by fucking books and government. You feel me? So I'm not saying I'm saying I'd rather live under the tyranny of the Jew because he's more my outright enemy. You feel me? Like he might not like that I read the Talmud, but he won't deny it. Like I'll speak to a Muslim and they'll deny a lot of the shit that I know is in the Quran. You feel me? Some of the disgusting shit that's in there. So I can't even. I'd rather deal with outright war than deal with deception. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, definitely. Outright, I'd rather deal with outright war than deal with deception. So, and I don't know. I haven't traveled to Southeast Asia yet. I'm thinking that might be my best bet. I might have a chance of like finding something I think is worthy of building a type of future with. But then again, this is me speaking on a very mundane level. If I speak for my higher self, I know I can create all realities. You know, so I could probably create what I want right here. Everything good with a black woman, have black children, and all that shit. Be all happy and shit like that. But that's gonna take like a level of mental mastery I haven't achieved yet. What about you? Do you have kids, Sterling?
no, no, no.
Do you want that?
Um, I go back and forth. Like for me, like I take it. Like I can tell you do too. Like it would be a responsibility that I take very seriously. You know what I mean? And it would all depend on the if I met the right woman. You know what I mean? Like because I'm not gonna settle on what I think should be the mother of my children. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm open to it, but all the stars would have to align perfectly. And I don't know. I don't know. I think sometimes the people that would be the best parents don't want to do it, you know, because they respect it so much.
Yeah.
And then there's other fools who just, you know, are arrogant. They rush into it. They don't think it through. And, you know, I see it play out in, you were talking about, you know, government and politics. Same thing. The people that would make some of the best politicians don't want anything to do with it.
That's facts. And let me add this because I look at things from all sides. The way that we're thinking right now and how cautious we are is exactly what the devil or the system wants us. They want us to be a bit cautious to the point where you're frightened. You feel me? So you won't just go forth and multiply. You feel me? They want you to be super apprehensive about it if you have half a brain in your fucking head, you know? Because more if you're a dummy and you're having dumbass kids, those kids are just gonna be little cogs in the system. You feel me? Little pump fat pizzas and chickens for these people who like pizza and chicken. You know what I'm saying? The more intelligent people who are holding off on having children are really doing a disservice to the earth because you're supposed to be spreading your mind across the earth and therefore you can affect some change. You feel me? Through a familial line. Without that, you're not really doing shit. That's why Oh, that's why how do I say it? That's why my arrogance is a bit in check. I'm arrogant for for me, what I want to do. You feel me? And here's the thing. It's very difficult to stay motivated. I feel like it's easier to stay motivated if you have children because you have something to take care of and I don't want to say live for. That sounds like kind of dramatic, but I guess it is. It's like you have something to live for. Like me, I just live for my comfort. That's it. And I like luxury. I like living in comfort. I like being able to travel and shit like that. And I understand that unless I'm going to check out, I'm going to be here. And I can call it hell. I can call it whatever I want to call it. But I'm going to be here unless I check out. And even if I check out, I might get recycled. Excuse me. I might get recycled back into this shit. So while I'm here, all I can do is find some type of comfort and pleasure. You feel me?
Yes, I do. Um, let me circle back to something real quick. You would rather be ruled by Netanyahu than Mandami. Is that what
Yes.
is that right?
Yes. No, they're both bad, but it's the lesser of two evils is still evil. You feel me?
Mm-hmm. 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 And I think you said it was because you'd rather. I think I'm trying to remember. You'd rather deal with war, outright war, than deception or something like that. Is that right?
Yes, I'd rather deal with outright war and know who I'm dealing with than deal with covert warfare. You feel me? If they're like, let's say like a real racist, I'd rather deal with a real racist that says I don't like you N words than this guy this liberal white woman who pretends that she likes me. That yeah, definitely. And another thing, the Muslim traffics and sells so-called black people. You know, because these new black people like to make a delineation, which I understand between the the American black person and the foreign tether or whatever. But the Islamicist openly traffics and sells black people on the auction block. You feel me? In Africa. You feel me? These Saudi princes and shit buy little black girls and get them leashes and give them as pets, like to their daughters and shit. You know? So at least the Jew is smart enough to try to keep that on the low. I know the Jew is drinking blood and I know he's doing all this stuff, but at least he's smart enough to keep that out of my face directly. You feel me?
Well, now it sounds like you're talking about deception.
That's good. That's good. That's a good point that you're pointing out. Yeah, you got me thinking. You got me thinking because they're both just as bad. They're both just. How do I say it? Okay, here. Okay, here, the Jew is, I guess, in the end, if you know, because most people aren't aware of this, but if you're aware of the Talmud and all that bullshit and sabotage Zevi and and the Frankists and all that shit, you understand it is tied to their religious system. But on a mundane level, most people don't know that. But with the Islamicists, they directly connected to the book. You feel me? They're directly connected to the Quran and how they can do what the fuck they want to do to a certain group of people. And I know the Jews exactly the same. They're just like, I don't know why. You're making me think now. But they're just less gross to me. Even though I know they're gross. You feel me? They're just a little less gross to me. Like I just like the Islamicists and the Chala boys and selling boys and making them dance and then but you know what? You know what, Sterling? You got me thinking. You're right. Fuck both of them. Fuck both of them. I guess I'm just used to living under the system of the Jew because the Jew is running shit. And since we're gonna get deep with it, when you get to the top, they're all one thing to me. You feel me? The Saudi royals and the Jewish the whoever's running the Jewish shit over there, they're all the same people to me. You feel me? All that shit was birthed out of the Vatican to make these different little animal farms to control people. That's why I don't know if you've noticed when you look at media these days, or social media, popular media, and all these random people popping up, people are becoming more and more religious, and they don't care what religion you choose. That's a part of the end game plan. They just want you to choose a group so they can control you more easier, so they can pit you against each other in the so-called last days. You feel me? It's like they're creating a fake prophecy. You feel me? And you really got me thinking. You really got me thinking of that one.
I'm thinking too. So like, okay, so wouldn't it be best to be, if your government was run by like atheists? Or I don't want to put words in your mouth. Yeah, that's the question. Like, you spoke on Islam and Judaism, but like, how would that compare to a government that's atheist?
An atheist government is going to be running under moral relativism. You feel me? And that's basically the same as a Jew. Like the Jew holds themselves together as like they claim to be an ethnicity, but to me they're just white. You know what I'm saying? So they claim to be an ethnicity, but when you really talk to them or you know them in person and shit, they're really just they're really atheists. You know? Because they don't believe in heaven or hell or anything like that. They believe in when a Jew dies, you keep them alive in your memories or whatever. So they really don't believe in this you getting some type of 72 virgins or you going to heaven or anything like that. And see, and that's the thing, like having, and that's when it comes to this duality where I have to choose some shit. It's like, ideally, I wouldn't be choosing any of this shit. One of the reasons why I don't vote, I don't believe in the lesser of two evils. I don't believe in taking a side and then I'm going to complain about this guy for 4 years, and then you take another side, you're complaining about this guy for 4 years when they were both the equal level of pieces of shit. You feel me? So you're right. It's quite a, what's the word? A conundrum? Is that the right word?
Yeah, that works. And I don't choose the lesser of two evils too. I do vote, but I vote independent and third party. Because like you said, I would never choose the lesser of two evils. The same way I wouldn't say, oh, I'd rather be run by a government that's this religion or that. I agree with you. I would say that they're all cults. They're all crazy. And they absolutely, like you said perfectly, they want to divide us and conquer us. They want to label us so that we group up in tribes, and it just becomes a lot easier when we're fighting with ourselves as opposed to figuring out who the real culprit is.
Yeah, but we know who the real culprit is. We know who they are. It might be a difficult thing to confront, but we know who the real culprit is, and it's been put so much into our face that we become apathetic. You feel me? That's what they really want. They want like a irreversible level of apathy. You feel me? Where you can't do shit. They want to push the in these male spaces the black pill state of mind, which people will say like the black pill is just the truth, but how do I say this? It's hard for me to even have these mundane conversations because at the end of the day, I feel like my subconscious is in control of all this shit. You feel me? And I'm not as serious as I can be. When I say in control of all this shit, can my subconscious and my projection of reality change the reality in totality? No, it cannot. But if you're truly living within your experience and in your perception of reality, you can be separate from all these things and really be living in something that where you really can't. How do I say it? What's the right way to say this? Where you really can't relate to anything that's being said. Like if somebody shows it to me, of course I'm gonna be like, oh, they say that's going on over there. They say this is affecting me. This is supposed to be oppressing me or this or that. And the more you observe it and the more you accept it, the more it's going to come into your experience. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a difficult thing because we are connected on some collective unconscious, subconscious, collective consciousness type shit. But you really don't need to experience what everybody else is experiencing. Like I had this idea like a long time ago how I look at the world or how you can look at the world where yes, this is hell or it's heaven. You feel me? Because you can look at it and it seems like it all comes down to your perception. Because I've been traveling, I've been places where it's just like it's just it's just beautiful. You feel me? So I'm like, is this really prison planet? Is this prison planet or I know I'm trying to sound like I'm rambling right now because I'm thinking all over the fucking place. Now I'm thinking about like we look into the certain Eastern religions and you get into the karmic cycle and the dharma and shit like that and how this is just suffering. And suffering is inescapable. You feel me? But then again, you look into the Dalai Lama and the Buddhists and all that shit. All that shit is just control mechanism too. You feel me? And that brings me back to us being in hell. Because anytime you come back around, it always comes back to being controlled and being manipulated. But you can go ahead and
Yeah, boom. And you were talking about that like in the social media and in the news media, how they want us. I think you were saying they want us to become, or it's what it's doing is making people more religious, which I might push back on that. I feel like as a society, we're becoming more and more atheist. And okay, but so like if you were comparing these different religions, and I'm not a fan of anyone in particular, I would, the way I distinguish, Buddhists, for example, like you just use that versus, let's say the state of Israel. Well, like, I don't see how Buddhists are trying to, buy our politicians, and they're not buying TikTok. They didn't buy CBS. They didn't give Trump a check for 250 million. You know what I mean? Like, I really resent the government that's trying to tell us what to think. Like you said, like by buying social media like TikTok, by buying CBS, and Putin isn't doing that. The Russians aren't doing that.
I don't know, but I feel like I'm not sure exactly how old you are, but I think you're old enough to remember when you were a little kid, the Free Tibet movement, how heavy that was, and all that stuff. That was a CIA operation, and that was to be that was like they were like agents for the U.S. to be just cause issues for China. You know what I'm saying? So even if you think it's positive or negative or better or worse than something else, it's all the same bullshit. It's all the same manipulation game. And even like I would push back on how things are becoming more atheist. Like I see more people doing things on like I'm not really on other social medias that much watching lives, but like on YouTube, I see more people coming up with these channels where they're debating people about the existence of God. And atheists will have mad people come up and just debate and destroy them because it's pretty basic. But I don't think that's gonna logic. Logic doesn't matter. What matters is how you corral and control people. And once people are in a fear state and then they're in desperation, they tend to reach for spirituality. And that's not true spirituality, religiosity. You feel me? So once people are scared, they're gonna choose something to try to help them. And I don't think most people are gonna become atheists because even though I feel like atheism has its issues, it kind of puts responsibility back on you when people don't want to be responsible. They're fucking lazy.
I agree 100%. It puts the responsibility on you, and people don't want that. They want to be told, and laziness is a part of it. But it's scary for someone who's been told what to think and what to do their whole lives to turn against that. To think that, oh well, who would I be? What would I be doing if I didn't have this book to tell me how to act? But I would again, like, I mean, I'm not. I would say, like, I know that if we looked into the stats, that atheism is on the rise. At least in this country, 100%. Like, atheism is growing faster than I would say. I would go out and say a bold claim that atheism is growing faster than Christianity or Islam or any of that.
I would say that's possible, but do you ever notice how like these influencers they've all become hyper religious? Like you have this, and they all have all these people in their own groups, their own animal farms. Like you have this Andrew Wilson guy. He's controlling the so-called Orthodox Christian. And then you have this guy Sneeko. He becomes a Muslim. And then Andrew Tate. He was repping Muslim hard for a while and shit like that. I feel like none of that shit is by mistake. You feel me? And when I see people, put it this way, nothing gets me more traction on this show than when I do a racial topic addressing white people, because they come into my chat and without even hearing what I'm talking about, they just get very upset and start typing out N enter I enter G enter G. They start doing all this stuff before even hearing my points. You feel me? And when I do a religious show, people instantly come in with their same nonsense, trying to defend their religion. You feel me? And it's usually people are more gun ho about defending Islam because, for one, the Jew doesn't want you to be a Jew. The Islamist wants to convert you or kill you, and the Christian is just like a lost motherfucker to me. You feel me? Like I think they're all stupid, but and here's the thing why I really couldn't adhere to any religion, because if I was gonna choose a religion, I'm really gonna be that. Like I'm really gonna go by this. Okay, I decided to be this. I'm really going to adhere to this book. All these people who claim to be part of these religions and shit, they don't even know their book. I know their book better than them. You feel me? So I don't know. I don't know. Like I don't want to live under any of these people. But go ahead.
Well, and to go back to what you were saying about the Tibet situation, like I totally understand that our own government is feeding us propaganda, for their own their own benefit, for whatever reasons that they want. They're giving us propaganda, and I understand that. I'm almost okay with it. We got to be able to see through it. I expect it, but when another foreign government, tries to influence, our country, our government, our elections, our politicians, our politics, our media, that's what I have a problem with. And
I understand that.
Yeah, I don't see Saudi Arabia doing that. I don't see Turkey and Syria, and Iran really trying to do that. There's only one nation state out there that's busy buying up news media in the United States.
You can only buy something that someone is selling.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, kind of. I mean, was TikTok for sale?
You can bully somebody into selling some shit. Put it this way: could they have destroyed it instead of sold it?
Could they have destroyed it? Yeah, they could have destroyed it, or they could have had the government take it over. There's other options out there. Let
me put this out there. Maybe this is all just part of the show for the peasants. Oh, they sold this and this happened. Here's the thing. I understand what you're saying about Israel controlling the U.S. and all this shit, but I feel like everybody is in on it. There is no good government. There is no good guy. All of them, all governments are bad. All are operating off propaganda. And when you get to the very top in the back rooms, there's a so-called Muslim in there. There's a Chinese nigga. There's a Russian motherfucker. There's a Jewish nigga. They're all in there. And guess what? Let me not be racist. There's a black guy in there too. And they're all touching the kids and doing rituals. You feel me? That's how I look at it at the end. So there is no there is no what's the right word? What's the right word? There's no refuge for the average person. You feel me? There's nowhere you're gonna go and be free of this. There's places where the hand seems less heavy because maybe it's less strategic. You feel me? But it's still there. It's still there. Like I see people talking about, oh, more people are noticing. Oh, and like I don't really understand how people can't see that they're being allowed to speak. You're being allowed to be a rabble rouser or whatever. You're being allowed to be a noticer because it's playing into their creation of prophecy, their quickening, or what's the other word? Um, there's another word I want to use, but it's all part of their plan. When you think you're not in the plan, you're probably getting deeper into the plan. It's like the movie War Games. You feel me? The only winning move is not to play. You feel me? There's nothing you can really do. I don't feel like maybe you can give me your input on this. Do you think they're good guys? You think Putin's really fighting America? You think at the end of the day they're really fighting each other? They really have beef with each other or some shit like that?
So your first question was like, do I think there are good guys? Yes, I do.
Yes.
Yeah, I do.
You think there's good governments?
And that's where I was going to go back to. Like when you said there is no good government, I would say there's also like no bad government in the sense like like is saying that the Muslims governments are worse, or I would say that there are Muslims who would make great politicians here in the States, as well as Jews and Christians and atheists and all that, Buddhists, all that. I think there's room for all that.
I don't. You can't have compete. You can't have a society with competing ideologies. You feel me? Even though I don't. Go ahead.
Well, I mean that's America, though. We're supposed to be that melting pot. We're supposed to be, the freedom of religion or the freedom from religion. So I think that there is value in that.
It's always been a Masonic country, like disguised as a Christian nation or whatever like that. Like, and a lot of things that we have here, if you want to believe it, have been injected by the Jew. It's been injected by the small hat. You feel me? Like, if you look at these white nationalist guys and stuff like that, they blame the Jew for everything. They say the Jew is the one who encourages race mixing. He's the one that encourages integration. It's all the Jew doing that. So I don't know. I can understand where you're coming from, but I just don't see it as like all this shit's nonsense to me. The fact that you need a passport to travel on Earth, you're born on Earth, but I need a passport to go from point A to point B. You need a driver's license when I'm not driving, I'm traveling. You feel me? Like when you're driving, it's like you're being a bus driver or a truck driver or something like that. You're engaging in commerce. You're not engaging in commerce. Your vehicle is registered to the state. You're not engaging in commerce with your vehicle, but the state still owns your vehicle. You have to have it insured. Insurance is a scam. Like, what's the point of government when everything is a fucking scam?
Yeah, I don't know much about that sovereign citizen stuff, but I would say, like for example, 2016 Bernie Sanders was good, not perfect, but good.
I feel like he was just a tool. He was just a tool, and all these people are just tools, and they fold when they fold in the end. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And it could be my internalized mind control too. You feel me? I don't trust any old ass white man. Like, I don't. You feel me? And then you could think like, oh, do you think what's the opposite of an old white man? Like a young black guy? Don't trust him either. You feel me? I don't want anybody governing me.
You don't want anybody governing. Is that what you said?
Yes, I don't need anybody to govern me because, and maybe I'd feel differently if we were getting some good results from the government. What benefit do you get from being governed?
Well, I think you could get benefit from a good government, but the fact is we don't have that. So uh, the benefit we don't tend to see it. What we see is people hurting.
So
Things.
was the government ever good?
The American government, the United States government, was it ever
Any
good?
any government was good, and why, and how were the people benefiting? I can name one in my head, but that's just, and I wasn't living there, so it might not be true. So, but
Well, go ahead. Go ahead while I think about it. What's on your mind?
well, if you look at Libya before they destroyed it, it seemed like it had some great benefits. The cleanest coastline in all of Africa, super clean city, a very advanced city, um, incentives to incentivize families. Like if you went and traveled around the world, you got education, they pay for your education anywhere around the world. So you would bring that knowledge back to Libya. Um, they incentivize families by, I forgot the exact numbers. I don't want to quote bullshit numbers, but they greatly help you jump off your family with owning a home and having a stipend of money to just encourage good families, intelligent families, and shit like that. So those are some good things I could say about that. But then again, I said I wasn't there. This is what I've heard, and I'm inclined to believe it because they assassinated that guy and humiliated him on TV. If you notice, like back in the day, especially when we were younger, they didn't show people dead on the television, really. And in wartime, they didn't really show shit like that. But when it's beef between these families, because the media is for the elites to speak to each other, it's to control us, for them to speak to each other through symbolism and certain things that are abnormal. Do you remember when they killed all Saddam Hussein's sons and they were showing them all dead on TV one by one when they killed them? That's not normal. Those are gangsters talking to each other. You feel me? So I'm not saying that they don't beef on some levels. I'm just saying that we have nothing to do with that.
Yeah, and I would hesitate to say that this government is 100% good. There are good things you can find in a government, good things, good and bad. For example, I think that the UK was good when it came up with the NHS, socialized medicine, healthcare. I think that's good. When Canada legalized cannabis, I think that's good. But like when the
That was for money though. That's for money.
Okay. Well, okay. Yes. Well, regardless of the motivations, I feel like it was a step in the right direction.
If they legalize cannabis, are they admitting that it wasn't destructive and it was only illegal because they couldn't tax it in a certain way? They're kind of admitting that, right?
Um, maybe, yeah. Sure. Okay.
So if all the people who are in the prison systems because of cannabis, if they aren't expunged and released, that means it's bullshit, and it's only for corporations to get more money. And I was in the early days of the CBD and what's become the cannabis legalization in South Florida, and I saw how it works. Like this is fucking monopolies squeezing people out. Even till this day, people who were getting some footing with their companies out of nowhere, they're making these things illegal again in Florida, and the only companies that are left are like some beverage companies with some THC in it that's owned by certain people. You know what I'm saying? Like this is not freedom. This is not free market. This is not real capitalism. This is not that. You know what I'm saying? And before I forget, I want to add this too. Like in America, we're still, even though people try to complain about it, we're still one of the, if not the richest country in the world, and our infrastructure is garbage. Our technological advances are trash. You know what I'm saying? So, what is the point of having these governments?
Well, yeah. They say that we're the richest because I guess they measured off of GDP. It basically measures how well the corporations are doing, not how well the people are doing. And the mouthpieces and the puppets for those corporations are very quick to remind you, oh, well, look at the Dow. Look, oh, the stock market is strong. We have the biggest GDP. Blah 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 blah.
Do you think it's right that you're working like 4 or 5 months out of the year for free, straight slavery?
Do I feel like it's right for me to work 4 to 5 months out of the year for free? You said?
Yeah, if you're paying taxes, that's what you're doing.
I don't follow you. Tell me more.
If you're being taxed like 40%, you're working at least 40% of the year for nothing.
Well, okay, and I wouldn't say. Now I understand. Thank you for clarifying. I wouldn't say it's for nothing. Now, most of what my taxes or our taxes go to, I disagree with completely. But you said, so why have a government? I guess the idea is that we could change and elect a better government, and get things right. Not a perfect government, but a step in the right direction. And I would say, as far as like good government, I would say that I like I like what I'm hearing about Mandami in New York. And you said something which is true that I agree with, that a lot of these politicians, they get in there and they'll say whatever and then they sell out. And I've seen that happen so many times, with AOC, with Bernie Sanders, with Ilhan Omar, on the other side with Donald Trump. They get in there and they fall victim to the deep state and the powers that be. But that doesn't mean that the whole concept of our government should be thrown out with the bathwater. You know?
It's just one bird with two wings, and they keep you in this duality. That's a Masonic concept. It's a checkerboard floor. They're keeping you in this duality. It's gang shit, red or blue, just like Crips and Bloods. It's nonsensical. I refuse to play a game. I refuse to engage in it at all. You don't think if you weren't being taxed like 40% or whatever, probably more than that. If you weren't being taxed all this money, you don't think people who kept their wealth wouldn't keep their surroundings up? You don't think we can't pick up trash or fix a pothole or do whatever? You feel me? Because you might want to say we need large amounts of money for infrastructure as a collaborative effort, but our infrastructure is not being improved. So that argument can't really be made. We have no high speed rails. Public transportation is pretty trash. Everything's expensive. The food is garbage. Here's a great example. There is no good government. There is no good side. There is no good Democrat or Republican, because our food is poison, and nobody's trying to make it not be poison. And just because you have this funny sounding voice, fucking Kennedy guy, is he a Kennedy? Is that who I'm talking about?
Yeah, RFK.
Yeah. Now that I'm a grown ass man, there's some guy out here talking about, I do push ups and all this. Shut the fuck up, man. Everything's still poison. You don't give a shit. The kids are still getting autism from vaccine shots and shit like that. Like, they can't even sell our food in other countries. That it should be full stop right there. Soon as that is acknowledged as a fact, that means nobody's good. And then that goes into the pharmaceutical company, where pharmaceutical is half the shit. If you go to a doctor, most of the shit they prescribe to you is not prescribed to you because it's the best thing to be prescribed to you. It's because a pharmaceutical rep went to them, took the doctor out to dinner, gave him some money, fucking jacked him off or whatever, and now he's pushing you these specific drugs. It's drug dealing. That lets you know these people are fucking evil. They're evil because they'll put you in jail for procuring or selling some fucking drugs, but they'll make a whole system off of selling drugs. You feel me? It's evil. It's evil from the top to the bottom. So I can't, the shit needs to be abolished. 100% needs to be abolished. Because you don't really need a drug. Why do you need a drug system? You can grow some fucking opiates. If you have a painkiller, you don't even need to grow them, because if you aren't poisoning the land, everything is outside for you to go pick up when you want to pick it up. Like, I'm in the country right now. I'm in Georgia. I look at my family's property and shit like that. You could see onions just growing in the ground, random onions all over the place. dandelion all over the place, dandelion root, which is one of the highest medicines you can get. There's all types of shit. But I see you want to say something. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was reading the chat. Knew had a comment there. Western meds is Band-Aids. Yeah, and I agree with you. Here's the thing, though. When you say look at our infrastructure, look at the fact that we don't have high-speed rail. Look at the fact that our healthcare is broken. That's why there's no good government. Why do we need this government? But we could point to other countries where that's not the case, right? So I still have hope that we could change. Now I'm not very hopeful, but I still have the hope, and I see the purpose of a government, even though at the same time I see how ours has become, infected and infested in all the ways that you described. I agree completely.
And even in the countries that you can point to that seem to be spending on their infrastructure, like Japan, I have not been there and seen it with my own eyes. But people like to I have a bunch of friends who've been there, but people like to romanticize Japan. You feel me? They have birth rate issues. They have social issues. They're fucking a lot of weirdo shit going on over there. China. I could be propagandized. I could be wrong. Because I see, I've seen some black travelers in China, you can live so great for this low price and blah, 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 and this and that. It's just like, do I want to live under Chinese tyranny? You feel me? Or do I want to live under U.S. tyranny? Here's the one thing why I keep standing by the United States. At least I can say what I want to say. In other countries, they're putting you under the jail for saying certain shit. And that's why there are no good governments to me. Because to me, even though I have freedom of speech here, this is not a good government. You go to China, you got a social credit score, and now you can't even fly, travel, get on a train. You can't do shit. In Japan, is the same. I can't smoke a goddamn joint in Japan. So there are people, even though I haven't smoked in 2 months or whatever, there are people who can tell me I can't smoke something, but they can tell me I can drink this fucking poison and have a culture where you just lay down in the street. That's Japan, where you just lay down in the street because you've been working and stressing out at work so much all fucking day and all through the week. Those are the kind of things I look at. People have no freedom. You feel me? Because if I had freedom, I wouldn't really care about infrastructure that much, because I know we'd be able to get from, all I need to do is have a road to get to point A to point B. To fix roads, putting down a road is pretty easy. Fixing up potholes, pretty fucking easy. And people really needed a bridge, and they need to get a bridge built. I know they can get a bridge built. You know why? Because they were building crazy rail bridges back 100 years ago, over hundreds of feet in the air, hundreds of feet in the air, going across canyons and rivers and mountains and shit like that. So if they had the ingenuity to do that hundreds of years ago, we could get it done right now. You know what I'm saying? You don't need the government to do that shit.
Except those bridges that you mentioned, those were probably government funded and government projects, were they not?
I'm saying it can get done. It doesn't matter who instated it, because whoever instated it's probably profiting from it. So I would say we would need real answers to answer that question. But I would say they were private contractors getting that shit done. I don't think the government was building the railway, because the railways, I can't remember the names of these people right now, but they were using semi-slave labor to get the shit done. But you can still compensate people to get shit done. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I have everything worked out. I'm just saying I don't need somebody controlling me and telling me what to do. And little things like the fact that you can criminalize me for some fucking mushrooms or a joint, but drinking all this poison and having bars with parking lots where people drive drunk off of these poisons and shit like that, it just lets me know that this place is evil for a reason. Because if anybody had any logic, they would allow you to smoke, they would allow you to take mushrooms, and you might want to restrict people from drinking, because that's killing a shitload of people and causing all types of internal diseases of your population. But they force it on you. Just like in China, China didn't want to have an opiate epidemic. They were forced onto it through fucking war. They were like, take these fucking opiates and sell it to your people, or we're coming to kill your ass. And I think like the same thing. That's the same thing going on right now. All this shit's chemical warfare. Like it's like blaming somebody in the hood living in a bad situation for selling drugs that couldn't get here if it wasn't government sanctioned. So the government creates a dire situation in the project, gives you a project, and then they insert the drugs. So that's what. So people can say, "Oh, you didn't have to sell the drugs." Hey, I totally agree with that. But when you put people in desperate situation, they might make they're more inclined to make bad decisions that might benefit other bad people. And then once these people are in jail, you're benefiting off them being in privatized prisons, also getting slave labor. This is all a thing that's set up. And at the end of the day, who's setting it up? The government. You can't get this much coke in the country unless the government allows it. And we know this is fact. We know this is facts already because it's. And here's the thing: they don't hide this. We know about Bill Clinton and George Bush and Mena, Arkansas. We know about the coke coming in planes. We know this. You feel me? But the finger is still pointed at the poor man and not at the government.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. And one of the things, like, picking out like good parts of the government, that what we're doing with freedom of speech is, yes, spot on. Spot on. Like, I mean, I feel like we got that right. And but I do see it being taken away from us. Like, it was literally just today, I saw an article where some girl, and I didn't have time to go through it all. Some girl got arrested for making a joke about Israel. She was what is it called? Florida International University? Is that what it's called? FIU?
FIU, yeah. I know where that is, and I know what you're talking about. She said something about, and she used a euphemism, and she didn't even say the exact words. She said, Netanyahu dropped some bonbons here or whatever, which is like a code word or some Jewish shit for like dropping bombs on people or whatever. But here's the thing: who's gonna do anything about it? Who's gonna do anything about it?
Who's going to do anything about her freedom of speech being censored? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because it's not true freedom of speech. If everybody's not in an uproar, if she put it this way, if she goes in front of that judge, and that judge who she went in front of, here's another thing. I think it might all be propaganda because that judge is on TV all the time. They always show that judge, that woman, that Jewish woman. So if she goes in front of a judge and a judge is willing to uphold it, you don't have any freedom of speech. It doesn't exist. Because a judge could be like, oh, no, it's unconstitutional, and I represent the Constitution. Take those cuffs off her and let her out of here.
I would say just the fact that, she was charged in itself is a problem, right? Although I don't know the details, and I don't know if they arrested her because they considered it like a threat or something, like what she said. But
you want to know what's really scary to me? If you look on social media or something and you go under and you look at the comments, you'll see people, it should be everybody saying like, what the fuck? This is freedom. So you can say whatever the fuck you want here. But no, it's Americans arguing about, oh no, you can't make threats and this and that. Like, we have no, that's what, like I'm saying, this goes back to what I was saying in the beginning of this broadcast. I don't respect motherfuckers. I don't respect these people. The same people who will cry about a welfare queen or somebody in the hood getting EBTs or some shit like that. And I mostly discuss it with like black people because in these black circles, you'll see people talking about this like, oh, Pookie and Ray Ray and what's going on in the hood and my tax dollars being spent on this. So you'll get really, and it goes back to me saying people beating their children because it's the same mentality of attacking the weakest person which you think you can do something about. Because they'll cry and they'll throw a fit about some shit about some bitch buying ramen noodles with goddamn EBT cards, but you won't bat an eye about $40 billion going to Argentina via Israel to go get to go into that Israeli president's pockets right there. You won't bat an eye about billions and hundreds of millions going to Israel because you're weak and you're a coward and you rather attack people who are weak and who really need it, even though you might not like how they're spending it, but you're upset about Americans getting aid. So that's what I'm saying. Like discussing this stuff and like government and all that shit. Like the people are cooked. The people are cooked, and the government's going to continue doing what it's doing, taking advantage of people. Like I day trade. Just the other day, somebody made $800 million by shorting oil 20 minutes before that shit crashed down to the lowest it's been in a long time, like $80 a barrel or some shit like that. You think that was a lucky guess? Somebody made $800 million by placing by trading your betting. You're basically spread betting. So by placing a wager 20 minutes before that was announced, and this happens over and over and over again. You feel me? If you have like a platform to watch options flows, you can see people place their money. That's how you can make money. You feel me? You can see when people put a certain amount of money in a certain position, abnormal flow, and then you know where it's going to go because somebody wouldn't do that unless they knew what was going to go on. You feel me? Everything is rigged. That's why, like, I don't know. I can't really have these conversations about government because it's just so nonsensical. And then again, and here's another thing I think about. People like to have debates or even conversations about certain things, especially the government, when I feel everybody's working from a false data point. So if everybody's working from false data points, you're just gibbering and jabbering about fucking nothing. You feel me? If you're talking from a false point with inaccurate data, that means you're just talking for nothing. We're talking about nothing.
Well, yeah, I see your point, but I would say like only talking will expose that gibberish, but that false narratives, those fallacies. Only about it could expose that, and so that's maybe where we disagree slightly. Is that I feel like it's great to talk about these things.
As long as people are divided, and put it this way, you and I can have a conversation and we didn't have to be brought together to speak to each other civilly. Like nothing, this is how I naturally am. And you're being yourself and we're both being civil with each other. I feel like this is kind of rare. Because if it wasn't so rare, people would be able to just have honest conversations, righteous conversations, and then it would come to a result. But most people aren't having righteous conversations, honest conversations. They're speaking from a point of their mind control, or they're trying to protect their tribe, their gang, the same shit. So once you choose to be a Democrat or a Republican, and I know you say you vote independent or whatever, but I feel like that's just negligible. There's no point in even referencing that shit because the group is so small that it doesn't matter. And even when you look at it, those groups that are these independent groups, they are usually used to skew, if you want to believe voting is real, because let me not even get into that, but they're used to skew the votes away from the major groups. You feel me? I feel like that's all just part of the operation. It's all just part of the operation because they need to corral the people who might have half a brain, who might be a free thinker or might have a different way of thinking. They have to corral you somehow, and then they get you into this little animal farm, and you basically did the same thing. How do I say this? At the end of the day, nothing made a difference. It's just people and their emotionalism and their weird acting shit and their tribalism and shit. The same type of people who will be mad at Trump right now when Obama did way worse shit than what's happening right now. And I'm speaking specifically about like black people, you know, because everybody's Trump and MAGA, these people are racist. Like, who cares? People were racist yesterday. Trump, why are you obsessed with Trump? Why are you obsessed with him? Oh, he's deporting these people. Like Obama deported way more people, way more people. He dropped way more bombs. Like, why are you concentrating on these guys? You know why you're concentrating on these guys? Because you're programmed to, and when you should be concentrating on the machine as a whole. The machine is fucked up. These people are just like faces. They're just puppets propped up in front of us. It makes no difference. You think it's let's say somebody came out and they assassinated Trump. Is the world going to change or something? Nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to happen. That's why like I don't like people getting excited about what's going on, and I'm not there to see it. And here's another thing why I think I don't respect people. I think people are fucking idiots. I saw people saying, especially some of these guys I watch their YouTube channels, they're supposedly free thinkers, and you know, on the conspiracy side of things, they're like, oh yeah, Trump's this piece of shit, and they're not trying to show it, but they're getting bombed in Israel like crazy. They're fucking up the whole country. I'm like, yo, you motherfuckers are retarded. You feel me? Because I'm not a war general. I'm not the smartest person in the world. But if I have a country that's locked in with the coastline that depends on its desalination plant to give everybody water, guess what I would be doing if I was attacking them? What would you do, Sterling? If there was a small country that's on the coastline that depends on desalination from this one plant to even get water to any of the people, what would you do?
It sounds like you're talking about a war crime.
Oh, war crime? Who the people who don't want you to defend yourself told you about a fucking war crime? War is war. See, that's like nonsense. That's nonsensical to me. What do you mean? So who decides what's a war crime and what's not a war crime?
I'm not an expert either, but maybe like the Geneva Convention.
Well, if you want to go by this Geneva Convention or whatever this I heard this like international courts and all this bullshit they talk about. I've heard that Israel has committed so-called war crime back to back to back to back. What has been the consequence for that?
Well, the international courts have a warrant for Netanyahu for war crimes, and
so they can't get him, even though he left the country on a plane and went to a different country. They can't get him, even though they say he's dead or whatever. Some people are saying he's dead, but let's just humor the situation.
Well,
so if I sell some coke, they can come find me really quick for like 2 ounces of coke or some shit like that, right? But they can't get the guy who killed hundreds of thousands of people.
Right, because the United States and Israel are not part of the worldwide courts.
So the worldwide court can't do shit. Is this a show?
Well, they could do something like if and you said Netanyahu goes to he only goes to countries where they won't turn him in. Like there's a bunch, and those are few and far between. Pretty much it's the United States. But if he went elsewhere, they would send him to the international courts.
All right, so let's just speak on a practical level. If all these countries that are around Israel and the people in Gaza, Palestinians, have been subject to war crimes, to phosphorus bombs and shit like that, then it's already up, right? That means it's already up. So if you're doing this to me, I'm going to go to hit you as hard as possible so you can stop doing your war crime to me. So you're saying everybody around them just they're just soft-hearted, beautiful souls that refuse to hit their water supply. The one thing that would make any difference. That's what you're telling me.
And let me just clarify what you're talking about. You're saying that whose desalination plants should be targeted, or are you talking about like Israel's?
Israel's.
Oh, okay.
They cannot get water without it.
Okay. And we bombed a desalination plant in Iran, right?
Okay, I'm talking about Israel. I'm just making a point that this shit's all a show, because what should obviously be done is not being done.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if it's because Iran has, respect for international law and war crimes, or if it's because they targeted it and they couldn't hit it. I really don't know much about that. But you know, it sounds like you'd be a fan of the American forces, because we bombed one in Iran, even though like over there that they only produce about 3 or 4% of the water for that country.
Ah, so
Yeah.
people for that's very pretty insignificant.
Right. Well, I mean, not to those people who depend on it, but yeah.
So Israel's attacking. It's correct me if I'm wrong. Iran, Lebanon, Syria. Um, then they have some beef with Egypt too. Um, I could be missing some people. So all these people together don't have the means to do a targeted attack on the one place that would get these people to get off their ass.
It sounds like what you're saying is, how come they haven't hit Israel's desalination plants?
Yes, why haven't they attacked the one spot that would actually cause some real disruption to Israel? And here's the thing: most people don't know Israelis. I feel like my not my first girlfriend, but my first real love was like a Jewish bitch. She's married to an IDF soldier right now, a real fucking genocidal maniac bitch. You feel me? I grew up in Miami around mad Jews. I know how they think. You feel me? And I'm also semi in contact with these people, or people who are in contact with them. They're not worried about shit like that. They're chilling in Miami, living their good lives in the high rises, being rich as shit. They're not moving like they're at war. They don't seem like they're at war. I know they put on this show for us, but they're not moving like people who are scared for their lives, or scared for their lineage or their family's lives over there. That's what I'm saying. This shit is a light show. That's why I feel like discussing some of these things sometimes are just like nonsensical. It's just straight nonsense, because in real war shit would be happening, and that's not real war shit. Some little bullshit happening here or there, and oh they the only real war shit I hear is it was Israel doing to other people. Because I feel like when it's up is up. They don't want me to be the leader of the government, or the military, or none of that shit, because this shit's getting ended really quick. There is no like oh, we're doing this strategic attack here and there, like we're gonna waste American lives and have people killed. Like no, none of that shit. We're gonna get it done right away. And part of the issue is, when I mentioned hitting the desalination plant in Israel, you're talking about a war crime. Oh, so that's like mind-boggling to me. You feel me? Like I feel like what's been done to the American population is way worse than hitting a desalination plant. They made everybody take a poison shot, like, and not a poison shot where I'm just a crazy conspiracy theorist. I'm proven right. It's been proven right. When Joe Biden left office, he gave everybody pardons. Fauci, all those motherfuckers. He gave them not just pardons after they've been indicted. He gave them preeminent pardons. You feel me? So that's the biggest war crime ever. I don't know. Like this stuff, like starts giving me like crazy in the head. It starts getting me crazy in the head, because I really don't understand how people can look at all these things that don't make sense and think there is still some type of order, or think that this shit is real at all. It just seems like a crazy show, a crazy game, and the peasants are the people who are being played in the game. We're just the pawns being used to extract money and and what's the not depopulize? What's the word? To lower the population. Now I want to use a different word, but whatever. Depopulate. Yeah, depopulate the people and shit like that. That's the only thing I see that's real and what's really happening, and nobody cares about that. They only care about what the news tells them to care about in the moment.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, look, war crimes are only crimes, like, if the government is going to respect it. But we don't, and which is why we go into countries and kidnap their leader, or we assassinate their leader, or we bomb. I think there is there is something to it though. Like, when these war crimes say, for example, that you can't target infrastructure, or you can't target schools and hospitals. I think that there's something to that, even though I guess you and I disagree. I don't feel like we would accomplish our objective by carpet bombing Iran, by nuking them, which, by the way, Trump reports are saying Trump wanted to do this past weekend, but the generals stopped him. So I think Trump may be inclined to have that sort of knee jerk reaction, kind of like what you're describing you would do.
If nukes were real, I feel like they would have been used already. I don't feel like nukes were real.
Say it again.
If nukes were real, they would have been used already. People are evil as shit. They're not holding back. Oh, we don't want to destroy this or that. They haven't been. I don't believe a nuke could even exist.
What about like what happened in Japan?
Nagasaki, Hiroshima, a hydrogen bomb. A hydrogen bomb is not a nuke. And the other one that they try to speak of that is a nuke, it just looks like anywhere else in any other war that's been firebombed, and people live there today. And there's not so it's supposed to be 100,000 year half life on the radiation. If that was true, people couldn't be living there right now.
Oh, sorry about that. Here we go. Well, don't get upset for me. Don't be offended if I fact check that. Yes, an atom bomb is a type of nuclear weapon.
I didn't say. I said they claimed to use an atom bomb, but they used two bombs. One was a hydrogen bomb, and the other was a so-called atom bomb, which I don't think was an atom bomb. I think it was just regular firebombing. How they leveled Germany and other places.
Well, hang on now, because you said you didn't think that nuclear weapons were real, and I referenced Japan, and you said you made the distinction. Those are atom bombs; they're not nuclear. But
no, I said it was a hydrogen bomb, and the other shit looks like it's just firebomb. If it was an actual atom bomb, which irradiated the land, there would be 100. It's like 100,000. Look up the half-life of radiation. It's a very long time, and people wouldn't be able to be living there if that was the case. I wish I could remember this guy's name right now so I could find it. So I can just give you the link because we don't need to watch it. But there's a general who totally speaks against this whole radiation shit. And he was saying that when he worked in the radiation place, they used to swim in the cooling pools. And this is an American guy speaking English. I guess you know what? I'd rather send this to you. I'd rather send it to you personally because I'm not going to take the time to find this right now. Actually, this is a good time to leave your email in the back because when I left last time, I closed my laptop, and then when I opened it back up, it refreshed, so that shit it was gone.
Yeah, all right, I will do.
And if I see some information, when I come across that information again, I'll definitely send it to you. But besides what I've seen about it being bullshit, I just don't believe in the altruism or the empathy and sympathy of people and shit like that. And they want us to be so scared of radicals and terrorism and all this shit. You don't think somebody who's radical would have already tried to use a nuclear bomb or at least a so-called dirty bomb or something like that to irradiate a part of the United States or something like that? Not even the United States, anywhere on Earth. Nobody's done it. Everybody's just nice guys. Well, I'll let you think about it unless you're like busy or something right now. But I will say, maybe I'm evil. Because there's a lot of things I don't understand. Maybe I'm evil. You know what? I have to leave that on the table because when I see these like animal rat dog looking Israeli motherfuckers going to these Palestinian people's houses and stealing their chickens and their goats and slapping them up and all types of shit like that. I don't care if somebody's gonna come get me later. It seems like you're already starving everybody and killing everybody, right? If you come around me fucking around, I'm gonna make sure I kill somebody. Somebody's gonna die, and in the worst way possible. So it just seems like nonsense to me. It seems like a show. See people yelling and crying with these like rat looking Israelis like digging through their house and shit like that. I'm like, yo, there's only 3 people here, and there's a couple of grown men here, and none of you were trying to jump on this motherfucker, get the gun from him, and just shoot the place up. None of you are trying to grab a grenade off this motherfucker, because it's not always military. It's regular ass so-called settlers going over there and fucking with these people. And I saw mad clips of this shit, and I'm like, hold up, everybody just pussy, or am I evil? You feel me? Because I don't think it's evil to defend yourself, especially if you push people to the point where they have nothing to lose. You push me to the point I have nothing to lose. I might enjoy that. I might enjoy getting into my animalistic state. Not that I really want to. I wouldn't want to be in war. But if I was in war, if I was at war and people were coming to kill me and take everything I have, I'd fully embrace. I'd enjoy it. I'd enjoy it. So I know I'm rambling right now, but I'm just letting you know that these are just things I don't understand. I don't understand.
No, I hear you. I hear you. And yeah, I've enjoyed listening. What I would say is that, I believe that nukes are real. And I believe that it's not because of altruism that we don't use them or that they don't use them. I think it's just like a chain of events, a chain reaction that it would set off. And also, there's also the issue that they don't have the missiles to long distance missiles. Even if you had a nuke, you'd have to somehow get it to the United States, which they can't do, which makes us operate in a way that we feel safe here. We can commit all this fuckery around the world because it's not going to come back on us.
I feel like with enough money, you can get anything anywhere. So maybe you can't get an obvious missile that's going to launch out of a silo and be going through the sky. But if you wanted to put sleeper cells all over the country and have like 200 people with dirty bombs all over the place in different cities, I feel like that would be pretty doable with money. A lot of shit's very doable with money. That's why I feel like they keep us in fear, because the natural state of the human is not evil. We're actually good. And I give this example. I've been through many hurricanes in South Florida, like the worst hurricanes, And here's something very interesting that happens. When a hurricane happens and the power's off for 2-3 weeks, you would think that it'd get scarier. You would think that people would take advantage of each other, that stores would be breaking into like crazy. And I'm not saying that no looting happens, but I'm saying that you would think people would take advantage of each other. They'd be stealing from each other or assaulting each other and shit like that. Like, no. When the shit gets fucked up in the hurricanes I've been in, everybody gets very nice. Everybody gets very nice to each other. And if you want to believe how they try to make you believe how people act with each other, how we're all just evil against each other, you wouldn't expect that. But when the lights are out for 2-3 weeks and I'm outside walking around or riding a bike around the neighborhood or whatever, everybody's like, hey, how you doing? Everything's good? You all right? Oh, come over here. The refrigerators are off, so everybody has to cook the food. Everybody's like, oh yeah, come over here. We're barbecuing. Come get some food. Everybody gets more cohesive and cool with each other. And then soon as the power comes back on, it seems like everybody's back to being paranoid and mean to each other.
Yeah, it's that common threat that unites us. And once it's gone, we go back to that tribalism, 100%. But there is like a price gouging that goes on during these hurricanes. It's not all good.
I don't know. That's maybe you've experienced it firsthand, but I've seen that on the news, but I've never experienced it firsthand ever. Okay, I've been through many hurricanes, and I've never experienced that firsthand.
Oh yeah, no, me neither. To be fair, but it's something you do hear about, right?
Yes, but here's how I look at things that I don't experience firsthand. I see it as propaganda, and I see it as even further propaganda once I'm talking to somebody else. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, you're from somewhere in Florida, right? You've experienced hurricanes and shit.
You said I'm from Florida. Is that?
Yeah, you're from Florida, right?
No, I'm from South Carolina.
All right, so yeah, I'm wrong. But like
But
I
no,
said,
we have plenty of hurricanes in South Carolina all the time.
so you said, but okay, so you've been through hurricanes and you never experienced price gouging. All you've seen it was on the news, like I have, just to make people suspicious and pull like hate and distrust out through the news, like it does. But in real life, what you observed was not that.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I'm trying to come up with an example off the top, but like, mm, yeah, I'm struggling too. I guess you're right. I haven't seen it firsthand, but I don't necessarily have to myself have to deal with something firsthand to believe that it happens. You know.
If you're living in a sea of propaganda, which that's like not debatable, you should rely on your um on your own observations, on your firsthand experience, because if you don't, you're susceptible to the propaganda. And to say that news isn't primarily propaganda just shows a level of like either you're uninformed or you're naive. Because I'm sure if you haven't, you can look it up where every single news station is saying the same exact thing, and they start layering every channel saying the same exact thing. That's not all these little independent news stations are not saying the same exact words like they have a script by accident.
I did see. I don't know if it'd be considered price gouging when people went to the store and they bought up all the toilet paper.
That's not price gouging. That's idiocy. That's people in fear buying a lot of shit. That's not price gouging.
But then they turned around and sold it for double.
That's a dumb person or a smart person in fear buying shit, and somebody dumber than them buying it from them at a higher price. So price gouging would be going directly to the store and they're upping the prices on it. You buying something directly from somebody else who bought something for a higher price is not price gouging. That's you being stupid and in fear. Because you don't have to buy it from them.
Okay, all right, well, all right. So nukes aren't real and price gouging isn't real.
I didn't say price gouging is not real. I didn't say it doesn't
Oh,
exist. I said I've never experienced it, and I've been through many hurricanes, and I've never been price gouged. That's what I'm saying.
okay, all right.
So maybe it happened somewhere not around me. So maybe it's real, but I didn't experience it, and nobody I know has ever experienced it. Because I would have remembered this conversation. Oh, yo, we went over here. They were trying to charge us this was for this. I never heard this before from somebody I've known directly, outside of shit from the news. You feel me? It's very interesting because I don't think you're a dumb guy, Sterling. So it's interesting to me how you can look at a lot of things and how you can observe certain things and just not know and or not think that you're living in a Truman show for the most part, like a clown show. You feel me? Like, what do you think about the guy? Like, you remember when you remember when that one of those main school events happened and it started with Sandy and then Captain Hook. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think so.
What do you think about that guy who was pretending that who was saying that his kid was deleted in the school, and then you could see him before he goes to the microphone. He's laughing and he's laughing and kidding with people, and then right before he walks to the microphone, you could see him like an actor like work himself up to look like he was upset, and then go to the microphone. You can be showing all this, and you still think something like that's real.
Well, I did see that clip. I know exactly the guy you're talking about.
Yeah, Robbie
Um,
Parker.
I didn't know his name actually. Well, okay, so but your question is, how can I see that and then think all this is real? Well, I don't
Yeah,
think I don't think all of this is real. I'm very skeptical. Now, if you I don't believe that guy was an actor, even though he did act weird, and even if he was, I feel like other people weren't. So, like, I mean,
What about when you see the same people in all these different events?
Right. Crisis actors, right?
Yeah.
You know what's funny is they like to say that liberals or Democrats use these crisis actors, the deep state. Uh, but just recently, did you see that DoorDash that Trump got to the White House?
Yeah, that what was it, McDonald, that propaganda?
Well, like just the other day, like he got a DoorDash. Yeah, it was McDonald's. You're right, and by some lady who was wearing like a DoorDash grandma T-shirt. I don't saw that. Which, by the way, like, what does it say about our society that grandmas have to come out of retirement to go do DoorDash just to survive? But it's a weird flex. But she was a crisis actor. She was involved in another testimony. I'd have to send you the clip. Anyway, yeah, no, I know those things happen, and that's real.
You know, it's protocol that you can't order outside food to the White House.
Of course, yeah. The idea that somebody could just walk up to the back door is dumb. Yeah.
Yeah, it's clearly propaganda. Just like people arguing about Obama ordering $60,000 worth of hot dogs and whatever at 3 o'clock in the morning to the White House, and then you see in the emails that he was being reprimanded by Hillary Clinton and them, like, yo, what are you doing, man? You're like we're fucking the kid, but goddamn, man, you're just gonna do that? You have to have some type of like hiding it a bit or whatever. I'm paraphrasing, of course. Then you have people arguing about, oh, he was doing this or doing that. I'm like, you can't order outside food. You think the president orders food directly? You understand what I'm saying? This is the idiot. Here's the reason why I don't go past conversations like that. Because once you get there and you see it's so ridiculous and you see you're obviously being lied to, and then I'm not even going further to what that shit's probably connected to, which is trafficking of children and shit like that. I'm staying right at the very beginning where it's just nonsensical. Obama himself ordered $60,000 worth of code word hot dogs at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. After I see that, I feel like any other conversation that we're having after that, we are just wasting our time. So you feel me? We're way off the mark, and we're being farmed into having certain conversations. That's why when I have these kind of conversations, I go straight to the extreme, because the surface level is clearly fake to me. The news is fake to me. The television was what's the word?
Psyop.
Not registered, but I don't think patented is the right word. But the television is a weapon. This is like openly admitted that it's a weapon. You feel me? Just like when Obama was in office, you're old enough to remember this, when they forced everybody to switch over to digital. And they were giving people like free digital cable boxes and shit like that. You think that was for our benefit? When does the government give you stuff for your benefit? Like they're giving out Obama phones and track. It's literally called a track phone. And did people think they were giving them out for like their benefit? There's too much layers of this shit for me to even believe anything. You know, like that's why I default to everything's fake. I don't believe it. I don't believe anything because there's too much examples of it being nonsense. As soon as you start trying to decipher and understand nonsense, it will drive you crazy.
Yeah, I see your point. It's just that, I feel like just because, some things are fake, or some people lie to us some of the time, doesn't mean it's all fake though, and that it's all lies. It does make it more difficult to get to the truth. And I would agree that that's kind of what they want. They don't want us to know what the truth is, or they don't want us to have good methods, solid foundation of how to get to the truth.
I just look at it the way as so as soon as certain institutions show me a certain level of deception, I'm not accepting anything from them, anything at all. Like like those buildings in New York that fell down supposedly. You believe two giant buildings just turned into goddamn baby powder?
Well, they did kind of disintegrate. I do believe they did, but I mean,
You can
I
watch
think,
slow motion and you can see steel beams falling through the sky, turning into powder as they fall. You can see these shit that's not should not, according to our physics, should not be able to happen. You can see the melt. They're talking about. You know what? I didn't see that directly, even though people were reporting on it. So I'm not going to speak too much on it. But they were saying that there was molten metal down there for weeks and shit. And you know, there's been wars in the world, so we know what happens when a building falls with a bunch of people in it. The people don't turn to the people don't evaporate. Even if you're crushed up, you're not really like all over the place. They find people's bodies. You know what happened there. It's things like that that make me like keep my conversation short with people because it's just like they can do this shit in front of your face. The day before it happens, Rumsfeld is talking about, oh yeah, we just lost trillions of dollars, not billions. Yeah, we don't know what happened to these trillions. We don't know what happened to these trillions. And then the next day, they try to say a plane hit the exact spot on the Pentagon where those papers were stored doing the investigation on this shit. That's what happens. And then the video, you don't see a plane hitting it. You just see something coming in fast as shit and hitting this spot. And then you don't see plane debris. And then they show you a plane, like, and then they show you in the Twin Towers, the shit hits the side of the building and like just goes into the building. Like it just melds into the building. You can watch these videos yourself. It looks nonsensical. You're telling me aluminum wings that can be fucked up by birds and stuff like that, or just breaking through steel and just like on some Wile E. Coyote shit, making shapes on the side of the building. And then when you slow the video down, you're seeing the nose of the plane come through the other side of the building, like they forgot to turn it off for rendering, which I don't think anything's a mistake. I think it's all mockery. You know, I just give things like that an example to be like, you can hit me with that level of deception, and I'm still supposed to like believe in stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm still supposed to take your word for anything. Think about this: if somebody in your personal life can hit you with these levels of deception, will you still be like believing them?
no, I wouldn't believe them. No, you know, I would want, you know, overwhelming evidence to be demonstrated to me, and maybe evidence that I could demonstrate to others. Then you might be justified in your beliefs.
See, I'm not trying to tell you how to think. I'm just trying to get to you like you could understand how you could understand why I would not believe in anything.
Why you wouldn't believe what?
Anything coming from the government.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's true. I mean, you know, you referenced what Rumsfeld said. You referenced physics. You know,
I'm only referencing things that I could observe myself.
Okay.
They say this money is missing. They say it's from the. They say this money is missing. So that's something I have observed. I heard them say that. They say that they can no longer be investigated because that's where it was being stored. I observed some bullshit on some footage they gave us that's obviously not a plane, most likely some type of weapon, a missile or whatever, hitting this area, and then they tell me that they can no longer investigate missing trillions of dollars because he got burnt up or whatever the fuck they're talking about. I can watch these videos of these buildings falling. I can see a steel beam turning into powder in the air. You know what I'm saying? Those are things I can see. I can reference architects saying how buildings are built and what they're supposed to be able to withstand and how much structural damage they can take before it's lost so much integrity that it falls, and that's not supposed to happen. I can look at architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth and see all these so-called professionals talking about why this should not happen. So it goes from my direct observation mixed with my discernment, mixed with so-called experts, you know? And with everybody else, and with the government, all I have is their propaganda. All I have is the news. That's all we have. We have that they did a report, and they give you they don't even give it to you so we can read it. They just give you like they go on TV and show a giant stack of papers or some shit like that and say this is a report. So like I said, I feel like we're feeding into it right now. Like it's made for us to have these conversations where you're giving me your perspective, I'm giving you my perspective, but we really don't get anywhere. In reality, I should just be going and studying and working on my business and working on things that I know are real and tangible right now. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't know. I would push back that it gets us nowhere. For example, like earlier in the conversation, you said, "Oh, you got me thinking," and it was about like what type of government, Muslim or Jewish or whatever. You're like, huh?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
and the only reason you got me thinking is because I'm a thinker, and I'm not gonna bullshit you. The average person will find a way to defend their contradictory statement. I'm not going to defend that. I'm going to be like, oh, that is a contradiction. I'm going to examine it, and then I'm going to be honest about it. You feel me? That's the issue with most people. Why I don't speak to most people, because they will have a contradiction, and they will try to defend it. Like me, when you said that to me, I was like, you're right. And this is probably just my xenophobia and my programming that made me give that dumbass answer, and I corrected it. Most people aren't going to do that quickly.
I agree with you 100%. They'll double down. They'll do some mental gymnastics, cognitive dissonance. They'll shift the goalpost, commit fallacy. They'll do whatever they got to do to cling to their beliefs or their religion or their Republican Party, for example. Whatever it is. But that is something commendable, is to go into a conversation, being genuine.
But
And
it's insane that that's commendable when it should be the lowest standard. You know what I'm saying? It should be the lowest basic standard of just being real and being honest. That's why I'm saying a lot of these conversations are nonsensical with the average person, because they are coming from they're not coming out in the conversation to be righteous. They are defending a position. They are defending an ideology. They're defending a tribe. They're defending some type of religiosity. They're not open to just having an open, honest conversation and getting to the bottom of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, even myself, I know some things I say are from my programming and from just the experiences that we're having in life or whatever. And your programming can seem very real to you. That's why I keep the option of myself being wrong open all the time. You feel me? Like there are things, and some things I like to be what's the word? Provocative is not the right word. Maybe provocative is the right word. I like to be extreme sometimes to add entertainment value and also just to ruffle people's feathers. That might be negative. Because put it this way, I'll talk in terms of black and white and this and that. But I know at the end of the day, it'd be better for us just to get rid of all that and speak to each other as people and try to have some type of understanding, you know? But even if there is evidence that even if you think you have evidence that this type of person is this way or that type of person is that way, you should at least give them the opportunity to show you that they are just a human in this shit like you are. You feel me? I know sometimes my titles and how I speak is going to be off-putting, and somebody's going to come in here and instantly judge me and assume that they know who I am and how I speak and what type of person and what type of person I am. And that's kind of on purpose, because if you can't take this abrasiveness and get through it, then I don't think you deserve to get to the treasure. You understand what I'm saying? You don't deserve to get to the real shit. You feel me? Like, and especially when it comes to men, like the fact that like for you example, the fact that you can pull up and you can tell that, oh yeah, these are men just talking crazy. Like, this guy doesn't have any direct hate for me, no matter what he says. You understand? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, even if I say crazy shit, I don't want to kill you or fuck you up or stop you from having a good life or a family. Some people want you to be fucked up and not have a good life. Do you get what I'm getting at?
yes, Yeah, I was just thinking that you're right. A lot of people, they go into the conversation just trying to sharpen their own sword. You know what I mean? And if they do get exposed, if they do have some logic that's faulty, and you expose it, all they're gonna do is just filter that the next time. They're gonna rephrase it. They're not looking to admit that they're wrong, or to learn anything, and they're completely shut off from hearing what you have to say. And again, I commend everybody who's open to hearing what people have to say, because unfortunately, that's not what you see very much on YouTube, at least.
Yeah,
Talk
and I
about.
understand why you don't see it much on YouTube, because people, that's what the people want. People want to be pushing little farms, free thinking, like true free thinking. Like there might be some channel who that seems like they're conspiracy or this or that, but when you really boil it down, they have an angle that they're coming at things from. Like maybe somebody from the outside looking in can tell me what the angle of my channel is coming from, because this is really just a person talking to you. You know what I'm saying? If you go through my content, I don't think there is a constant thread of me trying to push an agenda. If there is, somebody can point it out to me. I would like to see what other people think my agenda is, because I really don't give a shit. So and I would like to know if it looks like I have an agenda to somebody, you know?
Well, I think this a lot of the same people that you feel like they have an agenda with their platform would say that they don't. They say, "Oh, I'm just seeking truth," and stuff like that.
I know, yeah, I know, but then you could test that simply by asking them certain questions that will push certain buttons, you know?
Well, like what? Because maybe we could ask you, and like you said, figure out your agenda.
Yeah, I would like that to be done. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna. There's nothing I'm really gonna push back. I'm gonna give my point of view, but I'm not going to tell anybody they're wrong. So like, if you're wrong, you're wrong. I don't really give a shit. Like it's not gonna affect me. I'm not trying to change somebody outside of myself. Like the example I gave earlier was like one of these truth channels I kind of watch sometimes, and how that like it's very Trump focused. You feel me? Like I'm like, were you this Trump focused 2 years ago? Like, why is Trump the totality of the government? Is he the global elite? So why is he always the center of speech? You understand what I'm saying? Yet? And I don't even think, like, you're right. They wouldn't say they have an agenda, but I would like people to be able to look within and see that they are trapped in an animal farm. See that they're looking a certain way, thinking a certain way about things. Because even if I do have a side that I'm skewed towards, I'm still willing to question. I'm willing to question all of my ideas. All of my ideas. Everything is on the table to be questioned. Some people think they have the right information, and then they'll have so-called evidence for this information. And when it's all laid out, to me, the most people's just about everything can be what's the right word I want to use? Just about anything you think, you can find confirmation bias to lean towards that idea to reaffirm your belief or your prejudice or whatever the hell, you know what I'm saying?
Corroborated,
And
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this: you say you're open to everything, and you know, um, you know, what about that the moon stuff we were talking about last time? Going to the moon, the fact that it's a sphere, and all that. You're open to that?
Yeah, if I wasn't open to it, I wouldn't let people talk to me about it. Doesn't mean I still think it's bullshit, but I need real evidence to show me that it's not bullshit. And why I lean towards it being bullshit is because it should be easily provable. I shouldn't have to go through all these mental hoops and all this weird shit to. It's 2026. And supposedly they just did a circle around it. It should be very obviously. Excuse me. It should be very obvious. It shouldn't look. I should it should be beyond my question. I should be able to. They should have shut me up already. It should have been like, oh yeah, I was wrong. Look at that. Look what they did. Like, but it still seems like nonsense to me. So I'm not gonna think it's real. But I'm not gonna tell you you're an idiot for thinking it's real. Even if I think that, put it this way, I don't think anybody's an idiot for being propagandized. I think you're just not you specifically. I'm saying just anybody who believes in propaganda, you're just propagandized. You're demoralized, and that's a very real thing. Mind control is a very real thing. So it just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a time where I thought all that shit was very real, and then it became like it was not real. So it depends where people are at. And here's the thing. I'm not gonna call somebody stupid without being able to plainly explain and demonstrate my opposing point. And that's what I see that's what I see often from people who are on the other side of ideas that I may have. It's going to come down to insults. It's not going to come down to giving me anything concrete. It's going to either be theoretical or it's going to be some type of dismissive insult.
Okay, but if they gave you like a demonstration that you could do, would that be better? Like some sort of like experiment that you could conduct to prove one way or the other?
It's just like the conversation we were having the other night. Like you were saying, I could do a certain experiment. I looked up if I could do it, and it says I need millions of dollars of equipment to do it. So I don't really. That means I have to take somebody's word for it. I can't do it.
Well, to be fair, the laser thing is really expensive, but there were cheaper alternatives out there that I mentioned, like the radio waves.
That doesn't prove that people can go to the moon.
Oh yeah, it doesn't prove that. No.
It proves that there's something up there. Like I'm saying, I'm not denying that I could see something in the sky. Like I'm not denying that. I'm just like I don't know what that is, and I don't know. I don't know what it is, and I don't know if people can go there and land on it or do whatever they said they were doing. I watched the footage from was it the 60s or whatever. It all looks nonsensical. It all looks very nonsensical. I've watched the live space feeds before where people are supposed to be doing work on the space station or whatever. Yeah, and you can. I've sat there and watched this shit live, supposedly myself, and I've seen like bubbles rising. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't believe it.
You seen bubbles rising? What do you mean?
Well, the idea is that these people are actually just on a movie set in the training tank or whatever, and they admit that they train in that water tank, or they train underwater or whatever. And here's the thing about water and air: no matter what you do, it's very, very difficult, damn near impossible, to get rid of every little tiny bit of every little tiny bit of air that is trapped here or there when you submerge something. So when they go down there and start moving around, you will see bubbles rise. So I've seen that in their training tanks, and I've been watching a so-called live feed of somebody in space, and with my own eyes, not somebody replaying it to me, with my own eyes, I've seen the bubbles rising.
Oh, okay. Now I follow you. Yeah, because they have that naval pool, or I think it's like the Navy's pool or something, where they film some of that stuff because being underwater kind of affects your gravity, and I think that's why they train for that. Yeah. I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah. So I just seen too much of that. Like to me, space isn't. I'm not denying that I look in the sky and I see things. That's not what I'm denying at all. I'm denying that people can go there, and I'm denying that those things are exactly what they tell us they are.
Well, absolutely, and that's very difficult. It would be very difficult for someone to prove otherwise. But there was other points to the matter, like you were saying you didn't know, you weren't convinced of what the shape was of the moon, or how far away it was, things like that.
It looks round, but it doesn't look spherical. You know,
How would something? Well, it doesn't always look round, does it? I mean,
it has phases where there are like chunks of it gone. Like you get a crescent moon, you get this or that, whatever. But that doesn't mean that doesn't really mean much to me. Like
and so it looks round, but it doesn't look. How would something look spherical?
I don't know. You've seen a spear before. You've seen like a bowling ball. You've seen like a basketball. You've seen spears. So a spear does not look like just a flat thing, like a circle that's flat. Like when you look at the sun, you think you see a spear when you look at the sun.
No.
So that's the same thing I'm saying about the moon. I just see a circle that looks flat. Am I saying it's not a spear? I don't know. From what I'm observing, it's a circle that looks flat. Because you ever watch movies like Alien versus is it Alien versus Predator? I know, but there's a bunch of movies where you know how they try to show like a sky on a different planet, and then they'll have like these things that seem like different moons that seem closer and shit. In the
Yeah,
movies, they look like spears. You know what I'm saying? They don't look like what we see in the sky. That's what I'm saying. Like that's the difference to me. If it was a spear, it would look like a spear to me. It doesn't look like a ball in the sky. It looks like a flat thing that I can see. That's it.
I think a basketball from a ways away would look like a circle, and the only reason that we could distinguish it was because of like shadows and lights, which the moon does have. You can see shadowing as it begins to curve. So I don't know. I don't. It's very hard to tell the difference between a circle and a sphere. Um,
Possibly,
yeah, from a distance. The
possibly,
same.
but put it this way, I want to get into this discussion again because if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do a whole show on it. I'm going to have evidence lined up back to back of as much as I can show that what and I wouldn't say defends my point or my position, but will show you why I would think how I would think. That's what I would do. I would do a whole live showing why I would think how I'm thinking, and I from everything from the scientific points, from the old moon landing footage to how the how the so-called astronauts were talking and reacting and how they look, their disposition, all types of things. I be bringing all that evidence out, but without me doing that, then I'm just talking about it. And to me, like it's very unimportant. It's unimportant. The moon means nothing to me. If somebody went there, it doesn't. It doesn't mean shit to me. And if somebody did go there, I'd be questioning that anyways, because just like the other day, like they said they went around the moon or whatever. So we're dealing with wars, we're dealing with famine, bad economies, all this shit. But I'm supposed to be concerned about some dumb fucks going to the moon. Not that's what's important to do, right? Like I just don't get it. They're like, hey, we're up here. Look at my hair. Look at me holding this thing and floating. I'm like, I really don't give a shit. It means nothing.
Yeah, no, I get that. To say that space exploration isn't doing shit for me, I get that. Whether it's a circle or a sphere, like it doesn't matter to a degree. Like I get that, but to me, it's kind of like, for example, calculus. You know, most people who study calculus don't end up in a field where they use it. And I feel like, so then what's the point of calculus? Well, it's the point of training your brain on how to think. And I do feel like there is value in truth and knowing what's true and how to come to that truth. And that's why I like the conversation, not because whether we went or not is going to have some profound difference in my life, but it does demonstrate like how to get to the truth. And that's what I like, the epistemology of it.
Uh, Possibly, but even calculus itself is kind of like bullshit because in school you learn, and when school mattered, which was probably before we were even in school, both of us, was when you learned reading, writing, and arithmetic. You learned you learned you learned how to think, and they took that out of school. You feel me? Like time has moved very quickly. Like I said, we're like a very childish society. People watch sports and shit like that. Like back in the 1930s and 20s and shit like that, nobody gave a fuck about no sports and shit like that. Like once you became a man, you put away childish things. You were working on your legacy. You were inventing. You were fucking curing. You were doing like real high level shit. And they had to stop that because when you're doing that, you end up with real innovation. And real innovation is not good for control.
Yeah, and I would say that they still teach, the scientific method. And as far as calculus being bullshit, I don't know. First of all, it is kind of arithmetic, right? So like, and there's ways that you can check your answers, especially with math and science, chemistry specifically, or even like geometry, trigonometry. There's always a way that you can check your answer and do it in reverse to make sure that you're right.
Yeah, but that's different. Like geometry and trigonometry are things that are useful for everyday life.
So yeah, well, sometimes, and but again, it's not about the fact that calculus is useful to your career or your life. It's a way of training your brain to solve problems, and I think that's useful in everyone's life.
I don't know. To be real, I could be slipping right now in the definition of calculus. 'Cause I think I only took like the first level or some shit like that.
What's the last thing you said? Would you say first? What'd you say? I'm sorry.
I could be slipping on the exact definition of how I see it in my mind what calculus is because I didn't go into high levels of calculus. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh,
hold on, let me look this up.
I did. I really enjoyed it.
What is what is calculus? Calculus is a mathematical study of continuous change, acting as a foundation for analyzing motion and growth. It enables precise calculations of instantaneous speeds, derivatives, and accumulated totals, such as areas or volumes, integrals. It is essential in science, engineering, economics, and to model shifting real world data. Um, Derivatives calculus studies instantaneous rates of change and slopes, curves. Oh yeah, so I think I had this mixed up with something else. What is the one that's really not useful? Is algebra the one that's not useful? One of these is way less useful than the other one.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, maybe it is algebra, but see, that's like the cornerstone or the framework of calculus. So, and I don't know.
Algebra is a branch of mathematics that uses letters and symbols to represent numbers and quantities in formulas and equations. It extends arithmetic by using variables to solve for unknown values and describe relationships such as 3x plus 2, blah, blah, blah. It is fundamental for modeling real world problems from finance to science. So, predictive, I don't know, how often are you making, I'm not saying it's not useful, it's useful in certain situations, but it's like predictive science it's a predictive science. It's
Well,
fundamental for modeling real world problems from finance and science. So if this equals that, then what is the variable? Then what is the variable? If 1 plus x equals 3, you're how you know what? I'm not gonna act like I won like English awards. I didn't win math awards. So you're solving for the variable. That's how it goes, right?
Well, yeah, sometimes yes, but like I said, there has some very real world applications, and furthermore, it teaches you how to think. It helps you solve complex problems, and as far as like, I feel like it's useful in the sense that it kind of tells you what you should believe. Now, not what they tell you to believe, but in algebra, in chemistry, in calculus, in all these things, geometry, you can test an answer or someone else's answer or your own. There's ways to like backtrack it, backwork it, and make sure that you're correct. So I feel like that is a bigger lesson to students, is saying, hey, look, if you can't check it, if you can't demonstrate that it's right, then maybe you shouldn't write that down as your answer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but I think it gets convoluted when you're trying to figure out unknowns with you're trying to pair knowns with unknowns. You feel me? That's when you get into like um like how do I want to say this?
Metaphysics?
Not really metaphysics, like quantum sciences, like quantum science. Like we really studied like quantum sciences. It just means like you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You feel me? It's kind of like saying dark matter. You're just trying to look into you're trying to explain the unexplainable. So observing something unexplainable and then making a math equation about it doesn't make it real just because it makes sense in your math. If you understand what I'm saying, like Einstein's theory of relativity, like that shit doesn't make any sense in tangible reality. But if you're using relativism, it makes sense, and that's what they want us all to be pushed into relativism. Once you're living in relativism, then you get into everything's relative, even morality is relative, and then shit gets weird.
You don't think morality is relative?
I don't know. But then we're all different people, and I feel like your programming makes things relative or not relative to you. You know, so I never met like a unpropagandized person. So I never met maybe none of us in the modern age has met a natural human being. You know, everybody's living under levels of programming and propaganda. So I wouldn't know.
Yeah, everybody's biased for sure.
So,
But like the notion that you and I are just products of our upbringing and our environment, you know, there's plenty of, like, for example, like how to discipline your child. You know, we can move past what we saw. You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily just what we went through that, as seeing others, and it's the ability to say, hey, that's wrong, and I'll be the first in my whole family to break the cycle.
yeah, but people will come and argue with me that it's right. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing. Maybe it could be my own apathy. I don't debate with people. You know, I don't really give a shit. I see people get excited because they're proving somebody wrong or right. I really don't give a shit. I get nothing out of convincing somebody of my ideas gives me zero excitement, zero dopamine hits. It doesn't mean shit to me. You know, so I guess I feel like I'm different than most people in that way. Like I don't like convincing people of what the fuck I'm saying. It doesn't matter to me. I'll lay out what I think. I might give some evidence of what I think, and then it just is what it is. You know.
Well, you wouldn't get any value. Excuse me, you wouldn't get any value if Shock was like, you know what, you're right. There's really no good justification for popping a child. That you don't have any interest in doing that. When it came up, you were very interested in and having the conversation. So,
No, I'm more interested in somebody convincing me that I'm wrong.
aha, okay, okay, okay,
I,
okay, okay.
I rather him or anybody come to their own conclusion. Because once you come to your own conclusion, it's gonna be more concrete for you. You know what I'm saying? Like I might ask him to defend his position, but I'm really asking him to defend his position so I can examine my position. It's not really to change his position.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. But you can do both at the same time, right? Like you can you can be putting your opinion out there in hopes that somebody might challenge it, right? But also by them challenging it gives you the opportunity to shit all over it, sort of.
Wait, say that again. What's the last thing you said?
Well, you could do both. Like you could present. Well, you could have them challenge your opinions and what you thought was true, and at the same time, once they verbalize it, you could challenge their position too. I mean, you could do both. And I don't think he would come up here and simply you would allow him to challenge your beliefs. I feel like it would go back and forth a little bit. You don't?
But I'm not challenging his belief. It might sound it because we get emotional, and I'm also on the show. I'm being a bit entertaining. I like to lean into what I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, I don't really want to convince him. I'm asking him to explain and defend his position. So it's really I'm really challenging myself. I'm really just using other people to challenge myself because I'm the only one who can change my position. You know, so but I can also use people as reference points, or I guess is it? Can I say that a better way? Reference points. I guess there might be a better way to say it, but I'm really. Oh, we got Shaka in the chat. She's been. Let me just acknowledge this. He says that part. He says, "I'm not trying to convince that I'm right." He says, "I'm not trying to convince that I'm right or you're wrong." He says, "I'm more interested in just passing on information and thought process. What you do or don't do with it is your prerogative." Yeah, I feel, but I don't really see us all coming to any. Put it this way: in a small group of people, you might be able to come to a consensus, and somebody might yield some point or whatever that was made. But on a grand scale, I feel like this world, this existence is a mess. You know what I'm saying? So me trying to um what's the right word? Me trying to impact isn't the right word, but I don't know. Let me say it simply. Me trying to make people think a certain way to affect some type of change is pretty useless. You know what I'm saying? I can only deal with my inner world. That's why I was very interested in what Shaka had to say about like how he feels like he needed to get hit. You know what I'm saying? So I really wanted him to, if he wasn't at work, I really wanted him to come up and talk longer and speak longer and break that down. And I was hoping more people would come through and tell me like why they needed to get hit. You feel me? Why it's good? Why is this? Because and I might sound passionate about it because I really think, for one, I'm really against it because I don't see any benefit from it at all. And two, it's really people picking on weak people. And I don't like when people pick on weak people. And children are the weakest, most helpless people of all. I feel like people defend women more than they defend children.
Right. 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 But like, if you truly believe those things, then I would assume you would think that there would be an impact on society if everyone believed the way that you do, right? That there would be a benefit because
I would have to start a movement or a group or a cult or something And then that group or cult, I could get them to subscribe to my way of thinking. So these people around me are not doing that. But as on a large scale, the macro scale, I cannot stop that going on.
No, no, of course not. Not on a macro scale or even in a cult, but maybe just one person.
Yeah, but for one person, for me to affect one person, I don't need to push my ideas on them. All I need to do is speak, so people will hear me and they'll be affected. There might have been somebody sitting here listening to the show that didn't leave any chats or anything like that, and they listened for a while, and now they're thinking about not hitting their kid. But I wouldn't know if that happened or not. But me making that happen is just a result of me being myself. I'm not trying to do anything.
Oh, okay, okay. I think that you're trying to push back on, some old traditions that are harmful, and I feel like you are doing that because you think that society would be benefited if we moved away from those practices. And
Yes, but I'm not trying to convince you. If you hear it and it changes you, then it changes you. But if somebody came up and like wanted to debate me, like, no, this is good, this is why you need, I'm not going to tell you it's not good. Go ahead, slap the shit out of your kids, fucking throw them down the stairs. I don't give a shit. I'm saying that I'm not going to subscribe to that way of thinking. And if you're going to come up here and tell me that you thought something opposite of what I'm thinking, you'd have to give me evidence. And I'm going and your anecdotal fucking experience, your personal experiences, that does matter to me. Your personal experience, so I will hear you out, hear what you have to say, and then maybe a third party listening will hear what you had to say and hear what I had to say, and they might end up going with how I feel about it, or they might not. So there's no point in me caring about that because I can't really make one or the other happen.
have you ever seen someone like change their mind, like like after a discussion, perhaps even on YouTube or in real life? But is there any
Yes,
time
I've changed plenty of people's minds. I'm highly influential, but
on
even people in my
what? I'm
personal
sorry.
life, but
So
I don't benefit from that, and I
I,
don't feel like
I'm
I
sorry.
don't get it.
I didn't
They,
hear what you said.
huh?
You said what, when I asked for the example, what was the first thing you said? I couldn't understand you.
I'm saying, yeah, I have changed people's minds. I've been like in people I know personally. I've been highly influential and excuse me, highly influential in people's lives and shit like that. But when it comes down to it, I don't really. I'm just being myself. I'm not trying to be a leader. I'm not trying to change people. And the reason why I think I'm influential is because I'm not trying to control or change anyone. I'm just going to not. I'm very stubborn is not the right word. Um, persistent, persistent, and I'm interested in the truth. So I'm not going to try to convince you, but I'm going to keep talking until you have to confront your own thoughts. Either you're going to have to get away from me or you're going to end up confronting your own thoughts speaking to me because I'm confronting my own thoughts because I'm also confronting my own thoughts and my own way of thinking. So I'm going to bring you into this world of confronting your own thoughts. And so either you're going to do that, and when you do that, change is inevitable.
So, like, I'm sorry, maybe you said it, but what was the example of the change that you caused, or like
Well,
what
there's many
exactly?
examples of people like their way of thinking about to be specific about it. Like it's unimportant. It's unimportant. And this conversation right now, it could have been we could have changed the people's mind or changed people's way of thinking who are just listening to the conversation. It's just like it's not my goal. It doesn't matter to me. Like I've had multiple people in my life tell me, "Oh, you changed this the way I think. Oh, you changed my life and this like and things like that." But that shit doesn't mean that shit means nothing to me. If it really meant a lot to me, I'd be pinpointing these things and be like, "Oh, this I did this and this guy I helped him with this and that." Like I don't really give a shit. I really don't give a shit. Because at the end of the day, unless you're going to compensate me, I don't need your congratulations or your accolades or nothing like that. You know.
Yeah, sure, and that's fair. I guess I was just curious as to like, you know, what exactly happened, and like how did the change occur? You
And then
know,
again, wait, I know you want something specific. Let me add again, like why specifics don't matter, because
right.
somebody can tell me that, and it can seem a certain way, and then a week later they're not that way anymore. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. This shit is just so temporary. That's why a specific instance means nothing to me. If the only thing that would be interesting to me if people get more into confronting your own ideas, confronting yourself, looking at like how you think, why you think that way, and then even once you have a concrete idea of yourself, confronting that concrete idea, constant confrontation, constant self-analysis, constant self-observation, and that leaves you in a state of flux. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, moving towards um, something that could be considered positive or beneficial. You know what I'm saying? But if it doesn't, it doesn't. Like I don't really give a shit. And the way I'm thinking and the way I'm talking right now, it might seem like how do I say it? It might seem like I'm very interested in things, but if we were having a different type of conversation, and I was getting on my more spiritual tip, a lot of the shit doesn't matter. Like nothing really matters, you know. That's why I try to stay in mundane thinking a bit, just to be able to operate in this world, you know. Because the this shit just seems like a joke, like a mess to me. If I'm really honest about it.
Yeah, and I guess I was just exactly what you said a minute ago about, you know, you'd be more interested in like how they're thinking and why they're thinking something's true, and you know, that's what I was trying to get at is to like, you know, pinpointing an example, which we don't have to do, but like, if there were an example, I was just going to dig into like how the person changed their mind and what caused them to do that, and I think that is the word which I mentioned earlier, epistemology, and you probably heard of it, but it starts with a EPIS for anyone who wants to look it up, epistemology, and it's like the study of knowledge, and it's the study of like how we are convinced that something is true, that we know something, and like I think that is the key to it. And there's a lot of there's a few epistemology channels on YouTube, right? And I feel like they do something very different because you've seen these atheist channels, these religious channels where they debate and nothing happens, nothing changes. You know, it's a big waste of time. They walk away, everybody walks away feeling the exact same way because they just want to like prove their own point. You know what I mean? And I feel like in this one epistemology channel that I saw, this guy named Anthony Magnabosco, he runs that channel and he goes out into the street and he engages people. And the thing he does that I feel like is so effective is he asks questions. So like he never makes a comment. He never kind of tells how he feels. He's just asking questions, and that's what, like you said, makes the person self-reflect. And I feel like that to me is the best way to do it is by asking questions so that the thought and the process is that person's, not yours, not you know spoon feeding it to them,
Yeah.
but make you know but them
But
thinking for themselves.
are but if you have an agenda with your question asking and it's not obvious, that means you're being manipulative in some way. And I know what you're talking. I know what you're talking about, but those people who engage in those conversations, I seem like they're more trying to seem like smarty pants, you know. And I'm not. I don't give a shit. I like engaging in ignorance sometimes, you know.
Yeah, and if I understand what you're saying about being manipulative, I get that. But if you went into it, you know, thinking that, hey, look, I want to know as many true things as possible. And if I have anything in my current framework in my mind that I believe that isn't true, I want to get rid of it. I want to read this comment.
All right. Shaka says, I've had plenty of people change their minds off some shit I said. I've had people simply agree with me and not change their minds. Again, it's you who changes your mind.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, but I also feel like people, the right questions can lead you there. And just because you Ray Banana Hands, I don't know who that is. Ray Banana Hands,
Me either, but it sounds funny.
epistemologist. I don't know. I don't know about that. You gotta have to explain that one to me, Shaka. I don't get it.
Well, put it this way: I'm not against what you're saying. I know I have an odd way of thinking, you know, and I know I'm like I lean more into to dark ways of thinking. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't I don't know. I could keep saying it, explaining it, and going into deeper detail, but when it comes down to it, I just don't care. Like the only reason, and I'm not saying I just don't care about. How do I say this? The only thing of value to me on this earth, for the most part, is coming to epiphany. The only way to come to an epiphany is doing what I call verbal mental alchemy, meaning all you need is two people or more to be honest. And I keep talking my shit, which could be bullshit. It could be lead. You talk your shit, but as long as you're being honest and you're not trying to manipulate and you're trying to get to an understanding, you spit it out there, it could be bullshit. And there's something interesting that happens when two people are honest and you're not trying to manipulate each other. You have lead, I have lead, we're putting it into the pot, we're mixing it, and what do we get? Alchemical gold. We get epiphany at some point. You feel me? But that can only happen organically. You can't make it happen. You feel me? And you can't set up a stage for it to happen. You can't set up a debate for it to happen. You know what I'm saying? This just comes from the honest um wanting to know. You feel me? The honest acceptance of the unknown and exploring the unknown that might bring us to a known, or at least something that we can think we know now. Now we have some type of a epiphany that we came to, some true understanding. We really gathered some light in this existence to wherever, you know? Outside of that, everything is nonsense.
Yeah, I think we agree. I think what I value is truth, and like I said, I want as many true things in my mind as possible. And if there's anything that's not true that I believe, I need to get rid of it. And I feel like I could think that my viewpoint is correct, but once I talk to people, I shouldn't go into it with that mentality, thinking that I'm correct. There's nothing wrong with asking questions, and that's a Ray Comfort. Okay, okay, I know who that is.
But the truth can be the truth can be temporary. You know what I'm saying? The truth can be temporary because it can be something you thought was true, and then you can have a higher or a different understanding at some point later, and then that truth is no longer truth. So was it ever truth? Was it ever? So I don't know. All I know is that we've been here like over 3 hours now. I expected to be here for 1 hour, but you know how this show goes. I feel like I should just stay up all night so I could trade in the morning. Uh,
You got any
yeah.
trading tips for us?
The only tip I have is if you're gonna attempt to trade, take it seriously and don't listen to anything anybody has to say. You know, take it seriously. Don't listen to anything that anybody has to say. Meaning outside of traders, um, people will try to convince you to stay in the mundane level of thinking. Oh, this doesn't work. It's a scam or this and that. Like even me studying for so long, I've had my doubts about trading. That's why I spent money to be in groups with professionals so I can understand the new reality, understand that money is fake, understand that this is nonsense slave notes to keep the slaves in line. But if you realize how the so-called controllers are moving it around, you could scoop a little bit of it up. $6 trillion a day just in the Forex market alone. So to live well, you only need a little bit of that. I only need a little bit of that 6 trillion, you feel me? And I've been in these groups and I got to observe people hit 7-figure P&Ls. I got to observe people taking the same exact trade that I take, and I make my little $500 and they made $25,000 within those same couple of seconds. You know, it makes you look at money in a different way. It's all just math, you know. And you seem like you're into math, you're good at it, so you probably be good at trading, you know. But it's something to be taken seriously. And my favorite part about trading is it makes you confront yourself, because you're not on a trading floor where you have a manager telling you you're going into tilt, you need to chill, or pull back your size, or do this and that. When you are a independent day trader, retail trader, it is all on you. It's all on you. And is it Mark Douglas? I don't want to get this personal. Let me make sure I have this name right. Hold on. Mark Douglas. It's not Mark. Okay, it is Mark Douglas. He just looks way different younger than when he's like old as hell. So Mark Douglas makes a very like profound point about how trading will bring the demons out of you and make you confront everything about you that is lacking, because it's all on you. So I'll leave it there.
What'd you say? I lost you.
Where did you lose me at? I was talking for a while.
He said, Mark, the last sentence you were like, Mark Douglas. You were breaking up. I'm sorry. Something about truth.
Trading will make you confront. Trading will make you confront your personal demons.
Okay.
I wish I could find that clip right now. City Euphoria, because it's a very short clip, but it's like very profound. I'm looking for it right now.
So would you say it can humble you? Like, you think you have a good idea and you think it's really clever, and so you invest in it, and then it doesn't work out?
Wait, say that again? What do you mean? What?
Like, are you saying, like, when you say confront your demons, do you mean, like, for example, like it can humble you? Like, maybe you thought you had a good investment, a good idea that you thought about, and then so you invested in it and it turned out not to be good, like that? Is that what you mean by confronting your demons?
I guess it could be, but if you have like a scarcity mindset, you know what I'm saying? If you have a overconfidence, if you have an underconfidence, whatever it is your issue is, you will have to confront it to be a successful trader.
Okay, so would you say it's made you like a stronger person?
That's what everybody says. Trading, it's impossible just to only improve in trading. It's going to improve every aspect of your life because that's necessary.
How has it made your life worse?
All right, let me pull this up. All right, pull this up real quick. Say the last thing I'll play before I get out of here. Hold on.
There's a wonderful thing about trading is that most of us spend a lifetime avoiding our psychological demons. In trading, they're going to stalk you. They're going to find you. And trading offers the incredible environment of getting in tune with yourself, developing yourself psychologically so that you're a better human being in a lot of domains, including trading. There's a wonderful thing.
And if you don't trade, and okay, that wasn't Mark. This is Randy Howell. That's why I was tripping up. You know, this is my racism. You know, all white people look the same. You know, it's my racism. But yeah, Randy Howell drops that, and you just get to see the mental shift that a lot of people make when you like get into trading. It's hard to explain. Like I'm saying, like it's a unless you get into it, you're not gonna realize why people get obsessed with it. You know, what Shaka said. Truth has belief in it. Has to be fact.
Yeah, let's break it down.
Fact is this truth agreed upon, because facts change too.
Yeah, I saw his comment. I was hoping you would get to it. I don't quite understand what he means. Truth has beliefs in it. Has to be fact. Yeah, I don't get it.
I know what he's saying. He's saying truth is more personal than fact. Fact is universal, but universal is just agreed upon truth, which then becomes a fact because it's agreed upon truth. And then even the facts are malleable. You feel what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying all facts because actually I will say all facts, but then this becomes debatable, and I'm not going to get into it. Like 1 + 1 = 2, but then people will try to bring all types of extra shit into it, where there's variables even to that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. And thanks for having me. Shaka, thanks for comments in the chat coming up. I appreciate you. Yeah, until next time.
Yeah. Hopefully, I see you around again. Definitely enjoy having these conversations. You know.
Yeah, and I would challenge you to do that episode about the moon and all that. You said it would take a whole episode. I'd love to see it.
But see, here's the thing. I want you to think about this too. I think you want me to do that episode more than I want to do it, and it's more for you than it is for me. Like, I'm not really concerned with it. You know, but you seem more concerned with it than I am, and being able to hold on to the idea that you have. You know, if somebody gave me some concrete, not if somebody fuck the word concrete. If somebody gave me evidence that I really saw as like, okay, yes, this evidence, I would change my opinion instantly. I have there's what's the right word to use? There's no glory or anything in me thinking my position is right. I really want to know what's right. You know what I'm saying? So I think you want me to be able to convince you, or not convince you to the point where you feel more comfortable in your position. To me, I don't really give a shit. Either way. Just like if you ask me about the shape of the Earth, I think I observe flat. Am I going to call myself a flat earther? No. You know what I'm saying? I know NASA is like goddamn some derivative of like liar or Hebrew or some shit like that. I know all these space agencies around the world who seem to be competing against each other all have like the same symbolism. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things I could dig into this shit for a long time. Like when it comes to the space mission patches and how all those ships look demonic and have goddamn weird symbolism on it. Like it gets deep, dog. But I'm gonna do the show at some point. I'll probably do it. But really, I have to really be, I don't know, something has to strike me to really do that show because I'm being real about it. Like, I really do not give a shit. Like, I've been in these circles where people like just debating for hours and hours, going back and forth about the moon, getting angry at each other and all this shit, going back and forth about the shape of the earth. And I'm like, yo, none of this shit's gonna stop the kids from getting fucked. You feel me? That's way more important to me than the shape of the moon or anything like that. You know?
Yeah, and I agree. But earlier, and I would say, don't really worry too much about my motivations, because you yourself said you would lay out such an argument or such a position so that others would challenge your position. That's what.
Yes, but I tell you, I've been around this stuff for a long time, so I'm wondering what somebody could tell me that's new, you know? Like it's always I'm gonna keep asking the same questions and nobody's giving me any new information. Like, and we just had a brand new so-called moon mission and it's giving me no more new information. Just more people acting It's like the church of space. You know what I'm saying? It's like the church of space. Like nobody can answer the question. Like I don't know. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into it. We already been here long enough. Like the show might happen. I just don't. I'm not against it. I just don't see anything new happening. I see like a 3-5 hour conversation happening, and then everybody walks away still feeling how they feel. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, and that's fair, and that's fair. The last thing I would say is that you said if you have good evidence to the contrary, you would change your mind. And I think you kind of implied that that was maybe my goal for that conversation.
when there is something as obvious that's been there forever in the sky and people claiming they went there, why is it so difficult to give some damn evidence that isn't like just do you understand what I'm saying? Like this seems like it should be pretty straightforward. And anytime something is like confusing that seems like it should be straightforward, I feel like it's deception.
Well, very well. I want to take my leave. I appreciate it. Appreciate you. Always a great conversation. Take care.
And definitely, I hope you pull up for another show. You feel me?
Always.
Because we kind of got off the subject, and I might do another show about it because people trying to convince me why they think it's good to hit kids is more important than the moon to me. You feel me?
I agree, and I love that topic, and I wish we could have talked about it more, but thanks for having me, and I hope you have a good one.
Peace, Sterling. Shaka, thanks for passing through. I don't think anybody else was at least nobody else spoke in the chat this time, but I saw people passing through the show. It is what it is. This is disagreeable. I'm disagreeable. We're disagreeable. And you know what it is. Your children are more real than the moon, so maybe you shouldn't hit them. You know what I'm saying? And maybe you shouldn't verbally abuse them. And I'm speaking directly mostly to the Tethers and the FBAs and the devil, aka the white man. I know he also deals with it, but I don't have to speak to him as harshly because at least even though he's very abusive, he doesn't glorify it publicly, And the American black and the tether seems to glorify the verbal and physical abuse of their children, and it's disgusting and repugnant. You feel me? But I'm out.